Hi, good evening, everyone. Kevin Crouch here with South Metro Weather, and we do have a severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued for this storm west of Cleburne here. I think most of this storm will miss Cleburne for the most part. I think that will actually move northward more towards the Joshua area at this point. Really, probably northern Cleburne towards Joshua there, I think, is where this will go. It is moving eastward, but I think it still has a little bit of a northeastward kind of motion there, and you can see that in the shape of the polygon here. The severe thunderstorm warning, yes, does include far western portions of Ellis County at this point. We can kind of move this, and I'm kind of getting my bearings adjusted here. But if we move that over a little bit, here's the kind of western portions of Ellis County that are included in this, central, really most of central Johnson County there, that is included in this this warning here. And let me, I'm just kind of adjusting things on the fly here. My computer did some updates overnight. It seems like that happens right around severe weather times, but so I'm making sure that I've got everything the way I need it here. There we go. That's a little bit better. I'm also still kind of caffeinating here. I have the vintage Ellis County weather mug here. So doing that, there's something else that I want to pay attention to as well. And now that I'm covering 4 counties instead of 1, I'm prepared for longer streams. So we're gonna make an evening of this. And I've even got a cat in here, so we're all set. What I'm watching here, the other thing I want to pay attention to is the fact that we have, and this is unfortunately a little messy. I don't know why. Well, the yellow is because of the warning, so it kind of makes the velocity a little hard to see here. But I am watching, and this is this velocity view. And for those of you who may not necessarily be familiar with this, we are looking at the green and the red. These are opposing wind directions, and the lighter the colors mean stronger wind speeds. It's a little messy right here, and the yellow that you're seeing is the severe thunderstorm warning, but I'm just not sure. And it may be the fact that it's closer to the radar site. That's why up towards Joshua you're seeing all these kind of messy lines and everything. That's really close to the radar site. But we have been seeing this attempt at circulation here. The National Weather Service, I did ask them earlier, and they told me that they're not too concerned about rotation in this storm. If we put this into motion, we'll kind of see the history on this. You can see that that radar seemed to be picking up some rotation there, but the National Weather Service has not been that concerned with it, and they have more of a view of this than I do. So I'm going to lean on them and say that we don't appear to be too concerned about rotation at this time. This really looks to be more of a hail threat. And if we look at this, west of Lebanon there, this is, computer makes it really tiny to see. 2331 there, north of Bono, I apologize if I'm getting that wrong. But you see this little bit of pink there. This is all west of Cleburne. And let's get rid of this velocity and look at the, so this is a little bit of an older model here, an older sweep, but you do see the gray, and everything is right around here, just to the east of 2331 here. But that gray does indicate that there's a high probability of hail, an inch or diameter, an inch in diameter or more. Here we go. Here's that latest. So yeah, we're looking at severe hail here. Severe hail is an inch in diameter or greater. So pretty good probability. We're looking at severe hail headed right towards the Cleburne area. So it is holding that eastward trajectory. So the city of Cleburne here, you do need to be concerned about this moving directly your way. This is already moving right towards 67, right into the Lebanon area. So if you're on 67 west of Cleburne, that hail core is in your vicinity right now. As I mentioned, the good news is we're not looking at too much of a tornado threat from this. Hail is the primary concern, but when you have those updrafts that create those hailstones, you do have to be concerned about rotation. Just as a general rule, it's something that you want to watch for. So we will continue to kind of keep an eye on that over the next several minutes. Let me get a drink of water here. My mouth is dry and I keep getting tongue-tied. I should have been drinking water really for the past hour or so, but I keep getting busy watching these things, and I've not been taking care of that. Let's take another look at, let's see, and I'm, let me see here. Just got to take care of one quick thing here. Okay, so we do still see this hail threat here, and if we go a little further out to show the whole area, there's really a couple of things to talk about. Here's the storm we've been looking at in the Cleburne area, and let me pan this just a little bit. Down further to the southwest are some storms that could move up into our area west of Gatesville right now. This hasn't been moving very much, but as it continues to move over to the northeast rather, we will need to keep an eye on that. But really, I don't know that these storms will make it here before the cold front pushes everything through. And once the cold front is through, that'll really weaken anything that's left behind. So I don't know that these storms will make it here on time because, again, they're not moving very much. It's moving very, very slow. Definitely slower than the storm that is in our immediate area right around Cleburne at this time. So west of Cleburne, this is the storm that we're watching. And you can see the shear is pushing a lot of this, the upper levels of this storm eastward. But this is definitely the storm to pay attention to right now. And by the way, if you hear what sounds like a small gust of wind or a in the background, that is just the computer letting me know that there is another sweep of the radar that is available. So that's all that is. Seeing a report in, okay, I'm looking at some reports that have come in. I'm trying to keep track of what is reported here. Okay, so quarter-size hail reported in Cleburne near the high school and the Walmart just west of downtown on 67. So quarter-size hail reported here. And again, your quarter-size hail, that's that inch-wide hail, inch in diameter, that does cross into severe limits, severe criteria there. So this yellow, and Javier wearing a green shirt, that would be great if I didn't look really weird as a floating head and arms. It just wouldn't, trust me, it sounds good in theory, wouldn't work as well as you think it might. But this storm moving into the Cleburne area, one of the things I'm noticing is we kind of have this split. And one of the things that you watch for is that split that shows you that a severe storm could be intensifying. This is going to warrant watching very, very closely. And so far, for our immediate area, this is the only storm that is really concerning. There are things going on in Dallas County right now. I believe the tornado warning is still in effect there, but that is north of our area. Trust me, the TV stations will have that well covered. Here at South Metro Weather, we're looking south of I-20. So that is not necessarily in our area. And, a lot going on further north of us. Again, here's that tornado warning in Dallas County. And the storm, we do actually need to look at this in Tarrant County. My gosh, that just thing is a monster. So here's the storm in Tarrant County. What we need to watch for is when this area starts to move more southeasterly, because that will mean that the cold front has kind of passed through and is pushing all of this southeastward. So that will be worth watching. But for now, we don't really need to watch this so much. I will say that if you're in the Mansfield area, we do have some Mansfield followers. This could be moving kind of between Arlington and Mansfield there. So if you're on 360, if you're headed home towards our viewing area, that might be a concern of yours. But I want to pay close attention to the Cleburne area right now for a couple of reasons. One, we're getting multiple reports in the chat now. Now we're seeing golf ball sized hail reported at Cleburne High School, quarter size hail reported at the Cleburne Courthouse. So still a hail situation in Cleburne, but I'm watching very, very closely to see if we're going to get rotation. These storms in North Texas so far have very quickly. The tornado warning for Dallas County has just been canceled for anyone that's keeping up with that. But for our area, these storms have been rotating very quickly across North Texas. We've seen that over Tarrant County and Dallas County. So the circulations we do need to watch for very closely across this area. And again, if you're looking at this and you see the yellow, the yellow is where the severe thunderstorm warning is in place. It just helps to show that, hey, you're in the yellow, that's where that's going on. So we're still seeing this. This is really persistent. And this does appear to be, it's very, the velocity is very messy right now. So some of these reports could be deceiving. But again, we are looking at this kind of shape here. So I'm watching that very closely to make sure that we get the best possible view of what could be going on here. So we're going to watch this storm continue to do so. Cleveland, multiple golf ball hail reports. Hearing a report of baseball-sized hail at the Walmart in Cleveland. I'm ever so slightly skeptical of that report. Of course, everything is clearer in hindsight. After the storm, we'll see plenty of pictures and reports and those kind of things. But for now, I'm not entirely sure. A baseball-sized hail report at Walmart in Cleveland, man, that would be a lot coming from this storm, but it is entirely possible. Possibly looking back, I don't know if that's, it looks like that hail core has kind of weakened at this point, so not entirely sure if that's completely accurate there. We can take another look at the kind of the integrated liquid here. It does look like, for the most part, and I understand the Walmart is on the west side of town, but it does look like that hail core was not as intense. And there's a lot of people asking about tornado threats for various places. This storm does not impose at this time a tornado threat. No tornado threat for this storm at the immediate moment, which means that there is no tornado threat for Johnson County or Ellis County in the next several minutes. Now, we are under a tornado watch that goes until 8 p.m. That is true. But that does not mean that there is an impending or imminent tornado threat at this time. We will continue to watch this storm, though, over the next several minutes to see if we do get a more imminent tornado threat. At this time, that does not exist. We are not seeing that for our area. If we zoom this out, yes, this storm will continue to move on to the east towards the Keene and Alvarado areas, moving on towards Ellis County eventually. It's still in Johnson County, though, and we will follow this storm as it continues to move on. Okay, we're getting another report of baseball-sized hail in Johnson County. So, and that's a trained spotter that is reporting baseball-sized hail in Johnson County. So that's something we have to take seriously here. So understand that this storm has a history of producing baseball-sized hail. That's a pretty good-sized hailstone, plenty enough to do damage there. So definitely keep that in mind as this storm continues to move eastward. But like I say, it does look like in the last few scans that storm has weakened here. So I do think that fortunately we are looking at a little bit of a lower end hail threat at this time. That said, I do think that we are still possibly looking at that kind of situation here. Something I want to tell you is, and I should have said this earlier, if you will share this stream, just take a couple of moments, and everyone watching this, share that stream, this stream here, not that one, this one, and make sure that folks are informed about what's going on, because this storm, with a history of producing baseball-sized hail, folks need to know that this is coming. So, share this to the friends, put this in the Johnson County groups if you want to. Just make sure that folks are aware that this is definitely around. This is doing its thing in Johnson County, in the Cleveland area, and will continue to move on to the east. I would say east-northeast at this point, but nevertheless, it is moving to the east. So if you're in the Keene area, the Alvarado area, you need to be taking this very, very seriously. In the Sand, looks like it will probably go just north of Sand Flat. But I would say even if you're in the Sand Flat area, take cover indoors. I don't think you need to get into a tornado shelter at this time, but definitely keep this in mind as we go forward. And I will be watching, again, you see that little kink there, I will be watching for any of these little notches or signs of rotation as we go forward, because again, the storms that caused the tornado warnings in Tarrant and Dallas counties rotated very quickly, and I'm talking very quickly. So we have seen that history here, and you see that this is now updated here. But as this storm continues to move on to the east, we will have a better idea of where it's going to hit. And at the moment, we'll zoom this out a little bit. The storm is affecting the Cleburne area now. As it continues to move on to the east, I would expect it to move towards Alvarado, Venus, Midlothian, Waxahachie, Maypearl here, the Auburn area, eventually towards the 5 Points area right here, west of 35. Actually, 5 Points is probably far enough south, it won't affect those areas. But I would say from Maypearl to Waxahachie northward, so Midlothian, Maypearl, Waxahachie, possibly the Red Oak area later on. Time will tell. This is one of those storms that could very easily weaken or very easily strengthen. So I don't want to get you too excited too far downstream from where this storm is, but it will continue to move on to the east over the next several minutes. And really the next area that really needs to be concerned about this, I would say again, is from Keene. Looks like the heaviest part of the storm is moving your way now over to Alvarado, and there's 35 west there, so this is probably going to kind of ride 67 here. Alvarado, Venus, eventually towards Midlothian, Waxahachie, Maypearl, that area as well. Maypearl may be far enough south to not get impacted by this, but we'll see what happens with the track over the next several minutes as it moves that direction. I still got to get caffeinated, y'all. We're in for a long evening here, and I started feeling just a little bit tired, so I wanted to nip that in the bud while we could. Let's take another look at just a couple of things. The velocity view. Again, velocity is still looking a little bit messy. It looks like we could be looking at some gusty winds in the strongest part of the storm. As you have the hail falling, that's also going to push cooler air out of the storm. That's going to move down and out. So I'm not surprised to see some gustier winds moving towards the Keene area right now. And if we look at take a look at the possibility of some hail. Could be some hail south of Cleburne. Looks like that's maybe where the biggest hail threat is focusing. So that could be headed towards the Sand Flat area over the next several minutes. So that will be the biggest concern. I want to kind of zoom out for just a moment, show a couple of things. One, here's the storm that caused that brief tornado warning in Dallas County. Here's this monster storm in Tarrant County, and I'm going to be watching to see if that starts to move to the southeast a little bit, possibly with the cold front catching up with the dry line, which is what I expect to happen as the evening goes on. Excuse me. And then further south, of course, we have this storm in Cleburne. If you look further to the west, here's some development around Glen Rose, and I want to take a look and see what that's doing. So brand new development just to the west, the southwest here of Glen Rose, could quickly become something. We'll have to watch and wait and see what's going to happen there, but that could develop into something in that area. So as we look at this storm in the Cleburne area, here's the new hail core that has developed just to the west, northwest of Sand Flat here. So right there on what looks like FM4 there, FM30, 736. I'm guessing here, some of the markings on these roads are pretty unclear as far as how Radar Omega handles those, but that is what we're looking at, and that could very well be our next. Let me just take a look here. Could very well be our next focus area of severe weather, threatening severe weather there. And yes, you do have a continuing threat for all of this to move towards the Alvarado area. And this storm is kind of, again, there's some ebb and flow as this storm cycles down and then cycles back up, then cycles back down, back up. Time will tell what this thing is going to do. And I will be watching back here in what I call the southwest corridor of the storm to see if we will possibly be looking at any kind of rotation. We're not seeing that right now. No tornado threat that's imminent for this area. We do, again, have that tornado watch until 8 p.m. But this storm is not particularly producing a tornado threat at this very moment. Just the severe thunderstorm warning. And I don't think we ever gave the timing on that, actually. Looks like it expires in 34 minutes, so until 6 p.m. for this severe thunderstorm warning. And it's a pretty broad one. Let me back off, and you can still see that severe thunderstorm warning going over into far western portions of Ellis County, so just barely reaching Maypearl and Midlothian there. And we're continuing to watch how this thing goes. And I just want to take a quick look. There's a lot of fluidity in this storm and how it's forming. I don't immediately see signs of rotation here. Well, we are now seeing some green here, or the red actually lighting up. So I will be watching this for increasing wind speeds, but also the possibility that we could have some inflow here. That inflow increases, that could cause some rotation in this storm, but it hasn't, it has not really been that organized at this point. I'm not seeing immediate signs that this storm is becoming more organized. We could very well be seeing a increasing wind threat just north of Sand Flat here. You see how this is kind of, it's smoothing out, and then it's kind of creating that bow shape. So could very well be bringing a new wind threat to that area. But I will be watching for, again, rotation that has very quickly evolved in our area. So let's just keep that in mind. Then I'm looking, I've got Twitter up here, and a lot of times that's great for some visuals here. Okay. Yeah, I'm still seeing just general reports of the warning. So I'm not seeing any specific reports here that are related to rotation or tornadic activity, any of that sort. So I'm not seeing that yet. And looks like we got about 637 people watching. And and that's hopefully more and more folks in Johnson County will be watching this. If you're in Ellis County, I'm sure you're starting to see, let me actually look out my window here. Yeah, we're starting to see the top of what you're seeing. If I move out of the way here, what you're seeing is the top of the storm blowing into Ellis County here. So I'm sure folks in Ellis County are going to start tuning in very soon, asking, hey, what in the heck is coming our way from the west? Well, it is this severe warning storm that does have a history of producing baseball-sized hail over in Cleburne. It's clearing out of the Cleburne area now. We're getting more kind of updates on this, and it just shows that it's rather disorganized here. So I'm not extremely concerned at this very moment because it's just hard to see anything that is of immediate concern. Let's go back to the velocity view. And I'm not too comfortable at this point with all of the red that we're seeing here, these opposing wind speeds and these increasing wind speeds. So I'm not too happy with that right now, but we'll continue to watch that. I don't see immediate signs of tornado development or rotation or any of those things, but it will be worth watching this pretty closely over the next several minutes. And again, if you will share this stream, get this thing out there so that more and more people are tuning in and becoming more severe weather aware. I'm not doing this for vanity reasons or anything of that sort, just trying to get this stream in front of more and more eyes, because as this thing moves eastward, it will be moving into more population centers and that kind of thing. And there's plenty of people downstream from this storm that need to know that it's coming. If we, I know I'm flopping around a lot, switching around a lot, but yeah, this gray here, that is an indication of pretty high likelihood of severe hail. Again, severe hail is 1 inch in diameter or greater. So basically quarter size or larger. But we've had reports, again, of baseball-sized hail in Cleburne from this storm, and it's moving into plenty of unstable air. This storm doesn't have any reason at all to stop anytime soon. It's moving into unstable air. It's got plenty of moisture to work with. There's no storms around it. So there isn't a whole lot that's limiting this storm overall. So this thing could very well do just about whatever it desires to do. So we'll have to watch this as it continues to move eastward. And if we zoom out again, there's just not a whole lot going on across the rest of the South Metro area. Navarro County is clear right now. Hill County is clear right now. Ellis County, you do have that storm moving in, and of course, the storm is bearing down right now in Johnson County. We will be watching this storm very closely, this little development over just in the Glen Rose area. We'll be watching that to see if that's going to be another developing storm moving into Johnson County. If we take a wider look, there's a couple of things I want to show you. There's these storms that are moving through now. The cold front is draped west of here, and if we follow that line, I do believe that the cold front is still probably moving into the Stephenville area right now, if not maybe just a little bit eastward, but this is still along the dry line. So that's kind of what I'm expecting to see here, and this is the dry line, and then the cold front will eventually catch up with that. We'll see all of this congeal into a solid line and push through later this evening. Right now, though, we're seeing what could be some supercell thunderstorms, which is usually the bigger concern. So now we're seeing, and it's interesting how we're seeing the energy just kind of pull further back in the storm. Now, again, in the Sand Flat area, another possible hail core here. And I know there's a lot of people downstream in Ellis County that are asking about this storm. So Midlothian, Ward, Mount Peak here, Griffith, Maypearl, the Auburn area, all of this area, you are under that severe thunderstorm warning, and this storm will be moving your way. The strongest part of the storm is still some time away. I would say still 15, 20 minutes or so. Okay, I'm looking at the National Weather Service chat, just kind of trying to keep track of what's happening there. A lot of discussion, mostly about the storm to our north. Not a lot of discussion on this storm, which is generally a good thing. You don't really want the National Weather Service talking about you. If they are, that means that there's probably more severe weather coming. So the National Weather Service does continue the severe thunderstorm warning for our area. Thunderstorm damage threat is considerable. That's something new that they've started doing. They've added these tags to these severe thunderstorm warnings to let you know a little bit more detail of what to expect, because a severe thunderstorm, it has a minimum criteria, but it could be everything above that. And again, we have seen baseball-sized hail out of this storm. So just understand that this storm has predominantly a hail threat. We haven't really seen much of a tornado threat out of this, or damaging wind threat. All the reports have been of hail out of this storm so far. And I'm continuing to check some other sources of information just to make sure that we're staying on top of this. Most of the conversation right now is of course regarding all of this activity. Now, we just got an update on this storm, still looking at a possible hail threat with this kind of snaky little hail core looking thing here. Again, not a very organized storm, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. If this storm was more organized, it could very well have a tornado attached to it, but it doesn't, and it's just not been very organized at this point. So I really have been, it's just really unclear, if we're going to see continued increase in intensity from this storm, if it's going to try to become more organized, and it very well could over time. But at the moment, it's very rugged and struggling to kind of find its footing. Again, where you see the red, there could be some gustier winds associated with this part of the storm. So just keep that in mind. This is the velocity view. For those of you that may not necessarily be familiar with this, this is where we're seeing wind speed, wind direction. Okay, that's what we're looking at. So as this continues to move off to the east, excuse me, as this continues to move off to the east, we will have to watch and see what those winds do to make sure there's not any kind of rotation. Excuse me. Watch again, checking the National Weather Service chat here for that information. A couple more warnings coming here. It looks like those are north of us and not part of not part of our particular area. Okay, yeah, not looking at our particular area. So, okay, and so this system, this storm will continue to move eastward, and really, I think Alvarado and let's see if there's any smaller communities in the path of that. So here's Antioch. So 35 West is here. So if you're along 35 West between Antioch and Alvarado, that's where this hail core is most likely going to be moving. I want to make sure and point something out. And of course, we have a Amber Alert coming out right now as well. So make sure that if you have the moment, go ahead and share that as well. Trying to stay caffeinated and hydrated and all the different things. I just need a couple of IVs running here. But we still have this hail core, this persistent hail core that's headed right down 2415, heading right for 35 West. I want to point something out and just have a quick discussion with you about the fact that if you are in a vehicle when this comes through, if you're on 35 West, the rain is bearing down, the hail starts, you're going to want to probably at least pull over. There's going to be the temptation, at least, to take shelter under an overpass. That is something you absolutely do not want to do, because this could impede the response of emergency crews that may need to get to a vehicle accident or a fire started by lightning or one of these things. These kind of storms, there's all kinds of reasons to go and respond to a severe weather event, and if you get under an overpass, you are very likely impeding that response. So please do not stop under any of the overpasses here. Just pull over and, take cover that way. This is not something that you really need to be impeding response to, for sure. So do not stop under an overpass. If you're able to get into stop at a gas station, maybe. I'm sure the gas station wouldn't like me saying that, but I'll say it anyway. Go to a gas station, get under that awning, or get into a parking garage or something, somewhere you can get under something. Just please do not take shelter under an overpass, because again, you're impeding the road there. That could impede EMS, fire, police, those folks who might need to respond to something emergent going on in this storm. It is a mean one. We have this hail core here. It does have a history of producing baseball-sized hail. And that's not coming from any kind of social media. That's coming from the National Weather Service chat, from a trained storm spotter reporting baseball-sized hail. That's something. So this storm is not something to play around with. We're looking east of Cleburne now. Here's 35 West. The storm is headed that way, right down 24. That's 2415 there. And so as this continues to move through, again, it will cross the highway in just probably a few minutes. Here's an update here. And again, that hail core just does not look good from where I am sitting. And I don't think the velocity has quite caught up yet. So we'll wait a moment to see what this does. No discussion from the National Weather Service about rotation in this storm. But we are still going to keep an eye on the velocity here, because we've had these storms. Here's that update. I'm still not seeing anything that makes me think there's any kind of emergent rotation here. Not looking at any kind of circulation that I can see. It's still kind of messy. We're still fairly close to the radar location. You can see right here near Marystown, all of this just almost digitized looking stuff. Very close to the radar site. The closer you get, the harder it is for it to see. But we are looking at some gustier winds in this storm, but the hail threat is definitely the bigger concern when it's related to this particular storm. So if we broaden this out here, I just want to make sure we kind of take stock of what we're looking at. The storm in the Glen Rose area, something really interesting has happened. You notice it was moving northeastward just a few moments ago. It has now begun to move more westward, And here we go, moving right through Weatherford now. Looks like that could be our cold front. I'm taking a look at this. It's hard to know if this is definitely the cold front or not. It's a little bit deceiving now, unless the cold front kind of curves upward, because we still have strong storms near Denison and Sherman there, but that would be moving awful quickly for the cold front. So that may just be some kind of a wind shift there. But if that is the case, it will start pushing this storm to the southeast, and it will start to kind of push this to really congeal and then become that solid line that pushes through later this evening. But we are going to keep an eye on this storm that is now in eastern portions of Johnson County. This will be moving into western Ellis County. Now, if you're in the Griffith area, Venus, looks like it's mostly sliding south of Alvarado. Alvarado area, you're still susceptible to lightning in that area, but it does look like most of this is moving south of you. It is just about to cross 35 here, south of 67. Moving towards the Venus area. Venus, it looks like you'll just kind of get grazed by this. I'm a little more concerned with the Griffith area. Here's an update here, and as this continues to move eastward, could move towards the Maypearl area, looks to move south of Midlothian here, but could eventually move into the Waxahachie area. So we will continue to move, we will continue to watch this, kind of this, and I don't like the shape that it's trying to take here, okay? It does look like we're looking at a little more of a hook shape trying to develop here. Again, it's just not. You got this weird kind of blip here, just east of Antioch. The hail core looks to be just on the east side of 35 West here. So it looks like that any kind of concentrated hail core is east of 35 West. So it's cleared the interstate now, moving into western portions of Ellis County. Now, let's take a look at the latest velocity view. And again, it's still kind of messy and unclear here, but you're starting to see lighter colors getting focused here. So we could be looking at some rotation on the south side of Antioch here. And what you notice is we do have kind of this area where it's kind of cleared out a little bit, but there does appear to be a little bit of disorganization here, so we will continue to watch that. But I don't really like how it's becoming elongated, and then at the end of that, we do have what looks like a hook echo trying to form there. So we will need to keep an eye on this over the next several minutes. Let's just kind of, I know there's a lot of new people joining in here, so here is the South Metro area. And the only areas that are really of concern here are eastern Johnson County and western Ellis County. This is where the storm is now. If I open my window here and look, yeah, we're looking at the upper level clouds and some rain starting here northeast of Waxahachie, where I am located. But you see some activity to the southwest here. I will be watching that as well. Let's pan just a little bit. And this could move into western portions of Hill County over the next several minutes. So I'll keep an eye on that. The storm does not look severe at this time, but does look like it could be intensifying quickly. So we'll keep an eye on that. What's interesting is these storms are moving due east, still some northeastward motion here. So that may factor into the next several minutes. And this storm in southwest Johnson County doesn't appear to be doing anything. Looks like that one is just not able to get its act together. So time will tell there. But over the next few minutes, the Griffith area is starting to move in there. We're starting to look just north of Grandview. And, okay, more reports of baseball-sized hail east of Cleburne at 5:15, so about half an hour ago. So as of 5:15, this storm was still dropping baseball-sized hail. This storm means business, everyone. This is one of those storms that you really do need to be paying attention to. And you see the little lightning indicators here as well. But as we look closer, here's Antioch. Just north of there, looks like the hail core, any kind of hail core that's there, is, I believe that it's really tiny on the screen. I believe that's 1807 here. So 1807 south of there, between that and, man, I wish these were larger on the screen. Between there and what looks like 2258 here. So really headed towards Griffith. Here's the county line. Johnson County, Ellis County, as this continues to move eastward. And again, let's continue sharing this stream so that people are aware that this stream is going on, and make sure that folks know this is covering Ellis and Johnson counties, the storm that is located in that area. We will continue to watch for any signs of rotation in this storm. The circulations that we saw in Tarrant and Dallas counties earlier this evening spun up very quickly, okay? So that needs to be considered here. Really, this is the only storm we're talking about. Nothing going on in Hill and Johnson counties right now, just eastern Johnson County. And if you're just on the east side of Cleveland, if this storm is behind you, you're okay for the moment. I don't know if you're okay for the night. I don't know if we're done completely. There should still be a squall line moving through at some point. We'll have to wait and see where that's going to form up. The cold front may speed up a little bit, and we may be clear for a little while. Looking at the severe thunderstorm warning that is for parts of Johnson and Ellis counties, 60-mile-per-hour winds indicated, and then 1.75-inch hail observed. And this is baseball-sized hail that has been observed in Johnson County. That storm now moving into western Ellis County. Particularly, I'm most concerned right now about the Maypearl area. If you're in the Maypearl area, you do need to be taking shelter indoors at this time. Again, no tornado threat with this, but just west of Griffith, you can see just southwest of Griffith there, pretty decent hail core there. I know that Griffith isn't a large town, but sometimes, in fact, I just had someone telling me a couple days ago that they are best warned when I can tell them it's heading towards their small community. So if you're in the Griffith area right now, here's 157. Make sure that you are paying attention. This is the county line. Here's the little community of Auburn. Looks like most of it will move north of Auburn at this time, but any hail is going to be focused right in the Griffith area. So you want to make sure that you are keeping that in mind. Again, here's 2258, and that curve, if you're on 2258, here's the intersection with 157, and then here's that S curve there. So if you're around that S curve, you need to be paying attention. These are features that let people know. I mean, you may not know where Griffith is, but you may know you live on that curve. So I try to get as local as I can with these features to let you know where this is headed. Let's get another look at velocity and just check for any signs of rotation. West of Auburn, there appears to be some lighter colors there, but again, it's very messy, very unclear, very unorganized. So it's very hard to tell if really anything is trying to happen there. I don't see a hook at this moment, so I'm not terribly concerned with this. The National Weather Service has not expressed concern with this either. So I'm going to take no news as good news at this point, because I'm definitely not seeing anything that looks tornadic at this moment. Hail is going to continue to be the main threat with this storm as it moves forward. So this severe thunderstorm warning just have about another 10 minutes. It does expire at 6 p.m. I do expect another severe thunderstorm warning to be issued downstream from this. It does look like this will move south of Midlothian. You could get some of the rain from this, but looks like most of this storm will move south of Midlothian. Looks to move north of Maypearl for the most part. You may get clipped by some of the heavier rain here, but I am most concerned about this moving towards Waxahachie now. So now, Waxahachie, it's going to be a little bit of time before that arrives there. Looks like this is moving 30 miles per hour, so not terribly fast. So if we take this hail core, project that out, east-northeast at 30 miles per hour, looks like Waxahachie in about the next 25 minutes. Let me move this to where you can see it here. Waxahachie in the next 25 minutes, Ike in about the next half hour. And that's really it as far as the communities here. Now, as far as localized discussion here, This is getting right into where I grew up. Okay, this is right in my neck of the woods. So let's get rid of that. This is 1446. Okay, here's 1446. Here's 66. Here's Boz, so 5 points right in this area. Scarborough Fair, right in here. Okay, so that's where we're looking. Mountain Peak, looks like the hail core. There's some hail just south of you. And then going on from there. So this is moving towards western portions of Waxahachie. If you're if you're between Maypearl and Waxahachie on 1446, 66, those are the areas I would be most concerned about. I am watching this southwest corridor again for any kind of sign of rotation. It does appear to be a little bit of motion here, so I'll keep an eye on that. You guys over, and I'm seeing a question about Ferris. I've seen Ennis. Eastern portions of Ellis County don't have to worry about this for a while, so sit tight, and we will continue to monitor this. Okay, let me, I'm keeping an eye on this. Okay, so hail 1.25 inches, 1.25 inches in diameter reported north of Maypearl. So that's where that hail core is right now. So watching that very, very closely there. So 1.25 inches in diameter, hail reported north of Maypearl. So still significant hail moving towards this area. And Midlothian, somebody asked me where Midlothian is. That's just north of the map here. Midlothian is not in the direction of the storm. There are some reports coming into the National Weather Service, but the National Weather Service is not reporting on this storm yet. Here's kind of a broader view. Here's Waxahachie. There's a lot of space here, a lot of open land between Waxahachie and Maypearl where this hail core is moving. Again, if you're over there on Brookside where the new police or the new fire station is going up, that area is under the gun here. So let's take another look. Velocity view here. Okay, I am more concerned now with rotation here, and it's still a little bit messy, but I promise you, I'm seeing a little bit more organization. This is east of Grandview, east of 35. Here's the county line. So west of the Auburn area, it's messy, but through all that, I still feel like I'm seeing some rotation trying to develop here. Again, another update where we're definitely seeing some rotation possible west of the Auburn area. Let me zoom out just a little bit. Here is Maypearl. So west of Maypearl, right around the Auburn area, is where we're seeing what could very well be rotation trying to quickly develop here. And if we look here, we do have that hook. So if you're in the Maypearl area, I want you to take shelter right now. We don't have a tornado warning on this, but I want you to be paying attention to the fact that we have this hook developing, and we also have possible rotation. So if you're in the Maypearl area, in Auburn, if you're in the even further east than that, if you're in the Boz area, 5 Points, the Great House community, all of this, these are my old stomping grounds, folks, so I'm going to get pretty detailed. This is moving to the east. I am concerned about increasing rotation in this area. Let's take a quick look at something else here. Okay, I'm not seeing signs of anything on the ground just yet, but we are looking at significant increase in signs of rotation just west of Auburn. Let me just put in here okay, I'm communicating with the National Weather, so I apologize for the pause there. I'm communicating this to the National Weather Service because, again, we've seen these spin-ups that were very quick and happened very fast in Dallas and Tarrant counties. And as this continues to move into more unstable air here, this doesn't look like the strongest storm, but it hasn't really taken that. And the fact that this is elongated too, to me, is giving me more confirmation that we're looking at shear in this area. And then let me just look. Yeah, we're getting rain in northeastern parts of Waxahachie right now. So you will start to see heavier rain spreading into Waxahachie here. And all of this space, again, between Waxahachie and Maypearl here, heavier rain. Could be some hail in this. Again, history of baseball-sized hail, but in this particular area, in the Auburn and Maypearl area, let me get that better on screen there. I am more concerned about rotation in that area. So as this continues to move eastward, and some of these areas of rotation have not lasted very long, we could get another sweep in a moment where that may not even really be a factor. So we will have to keep an eye on this and look, and there are more mentions of Maypearl here. So we will be watching this very closely. Small pea-sized hail. Okay, a new severe thunderstorm warning issued for Ellis County. Now, let me just take a brief moment. Everybody kind of give me just some patience here. I know if you're in Maypearl, you want me to talk about that rotation, but here's the new severe thunderstorm warning. This storm does have a history of producing baseball-sized hail. Could be some strong winds affiliated with this as well. And I think the National Weather Service is taking a look at what I was paying attention to. This rotation here, this circulation that really warrants some serious consideration. We'll see what the next radar update says, but if you're in the Maypearl area, I would definitely be taking shelter in a storm shelter, or a closet, or an interior room somewhere away from windows, because these areas of circulation have spun up very, very fast. So we don't have a lot of time to play with this, and I'm waiting for the National Weather Service to give some kind of advisement on this, but I'm going to go ahead and say we need to take this very seriously and act as if there could be a developing tornado in this. I'm not seeing immediate signs of that, but as much as it could happen very quickly, we need to be paying attention to this. And I've got all these people saying that I've called it before somebody. It's easy for me to do. I've been staring at this for the past 20 or so minutes, and Fox 4 has to cover an entire 36 or so county area. Okay, we still have the circulation here. Okay. The National Weather Service is holding back on this a little bit. They're saying they're not too concerned, and the velocity data is making it, they're saying that the velocity data may make it look more intense, and there has been some messy velocity data coming from this. So they will have to review some more information, but I'm saying to stay on the cautious side and just go ahead and take shelter. It's not that big an inconvenience. I would much rather you take shelter and miss, something developing here that could be going on. Again, the velocity data are very messy here, so it's hard to tell. But if you're in the Maypearl area, I would definitely keep that in mind. I'm not hearing anything about any kinds of reports of wall clouds or anything of that sort in that area right now. But again, it will be worth watching. I'm just going to keep plugged into other sources of information here. This is what we've been seeing. And let's see if we can get another update on the velocity here. And National Weather Service believes that the velocity view, which again, the velocity data are really messy here. It's really hard to tell exactly what we're seeing here. And okay, now we're getting a report of golf balls west of Griffith, golf ball sized hail, which sounds about right. So we had baseball sized hail earlier, reports of golf ball sized hail west of Griffith about 5 minutes ago. So still a lot of hail in that area. Looks like reported in the comment section, dime to nickel sized hail going on in the Maypearl area. So still plenty of updraft in this storm. So that needs to be considered here. And we are under a tornado watch. until 8 p.m. So this area is under a tornado watch. We do not have any tornado warnings for our area at this time. But I am watching this area just west of Auburn to see what that does, because again, we do have this hook echo that has seemed to have been coinciding with some stronger echoes on the velocity view. So let's take a step back and look at this storm. It's kind of an elongated storm here. A couple of things I want to talk about. This storm has a history of producing large hail. We're talking golf ball, baseball sized hail at times. Looks like most of the hail is focused around the Maypearl area. Heavy rain stretching over towards Waxahachie. And okay, now getting a report of quarter-size hail north of, immediately north of Maypearl. So yeah, that hail core just on the north side of Maypearl there. And heavier rain stretching over into Waxahachie. The rain is shining, the sun is shining bright in Italy. Yeah, you're not getting this storm. It is north of you, but you can see that this is the rain in this is already stretching over towards the I-45 corridor. Here's kind of where this is going. So this continues to move eastward. We are watching the hail core, the hail issue right around the Maypearl area here, and we also are watching for the possibility of some rotation just to the southwest of Maypearl there, really west of Maypearl. So we had another update in the radar, and we're still kind of seeing this shape possibly a little less organized there, but let's just take another look. Okay, yeah, the velocity data are still really messy in this, making it kind of hard to see this. And it's a little harder to see exactly what's happening there, but it's still worth taking shelter and just staying safe from this because of, again, a couple of things I'll emphasize. As I said many times before, the spin-ups in Dallas and Tarrant County were pretty quick, and it didn't take much to make that happen. The other issue is that we have the velocity data, which are pretty messy, so it's getting harder and harder to tell exactly what we're looking at. So if there is rotation and something does come out of that, it may be harder to see it before it happens. So that's why I'm advising it may be best just to go ahead and take shelter in that area and, hope for the best, prepare for the worst, essentially, in this storm. So getting a little bit closer here, here's the area of some of that rotation we were watching. Again, some uncertainty as to how strong that rotation is right now. It doesn't appear to be too terrible, but just on the north side of Maypearl is where that hail core is, and that's going to continue to move eastward. Looks like it's going to maybe cross 66 here. It's right along 66 right now in the Maypearl area. Going to continue to move off to the east, and as we put this into motion here, you can see this hail core charge right on in, and it's going to continue to move off to the east. So if you're in that Maypearl area, in the Boz area, it looks like it'll head for the Boz area next. And then eventually, there's the update there. So a couple of things I'll point out to you is, one, it looks like we're bowing out on the north side on the southeast side, rather, of this storm. I was going to say northeast of that area of rotation, but we are bowing out a little bit, so there could be a downdraft, a downburst, or a microburst that's pushing wind out. So it looks like the Boz area, there could be a wind threat along with the existing hail threat here. So keep that in mind as well. If we look broader here, here are the two storms that we are watching. And it looks like to the west, it looks like this very well could be the cold front here. Let's take a broad overall look at North Texas. Okay, I do believe this is the cold front. So the cold front pushing through Fort Worth now. West just now moving into northeastern portions of Johnson County here. And as that happens, it's going to push this activity to the southeast and over time become a more solid line. So we're 6 o'clock here. And we've talked a lot over the last couple of days about how the timing was going to be impacted here. And that was really what was uncertain. So we're looking at this storm west of Waxahachie here, southwest of Waxahachie, and I am concerned about a wind threat with this storm on the east side of Maypearl here, as it's bearing towards Boz, 5 points, Forreston, Neenah here, as it continues to, looks like Forreston is a little farther south here, right around Lumpkins there. So really in the most immediate threat here. Here's 66. It is moving towards 876 here. So Boz, 5 points. The Great House community is in here. This area is where we're watching. Nelson there, Nina. So right here's 55. So this is moving eastward there, charging eastward, and could very well be seeing even just the quickest of damaging winds possibly moving that direction. And I'm seeing a question about Blooming Grove. Blooming Grove is far outside of any of this activity, so nothing going on for Blooming Grove right now. If we turn the velocity back on here, that should give us a hint. Okay, yeah, I do think we are seeing an increasing wind threat here. Could be seeing some increasing winds very soon. Again, moving towards the Boz area, probably moving into that area now. Okay, let's throw this reflectivity back here. Outside to the east of this in Waxahachie, and then moving on towards the Palmer, Garrett area, Rager Springs, rain falling. As I look out the window here, I've just got rain, pretty big raindrops though. I think someone made the reference earlier, the Forrest Gump, the big fat rain. I saw that on another post. No reports of a tornado at this point. No confirmation of a tornado. No tornado warnings were issued. I think what we had was just very brief circulation, and we've seen more of that. So we've seen these circulations that will pop up very briefly and then sometimes don't last very long. I think that's what we saw. We still have a little bit of a curve there in the Maypearl area. We'll check that out just briefly to see if there's anything to that. I don't see anything that's particularly concerning to me right now. So I think we're okay as far as the tornado threat is concerned. I think that we still see that curve, but I think the rotation that was there has fallen apart. So I think Ennis is not being affected right now. So if you're in Ennis, not really being affected by this at all. Maybe some rain there, but really not much. So let's just do a broad view, because I'm getting a lot of questions about a lot of towns, and I want you to understand where things are happening here. There's really nothing else across the area. Ellis County is the only one really getting anything from Maypearl to Waxahachie. Really is the heaviest part of this storm, and then some lighter rain possibly in the Palmer area and up towards Ferris. Johnson County looks to be clear for the moment. Hill County as well. Navarro County, nothing happening there. It's specifically just Ellis County at this point. Let me get another sip of some caffeine here. And yes, I still have an Ellis County weather mug. I haven't gotten the South Metro mugs yet. But we're seeing this severe storm in Ellis County. Nothing else happening across the area. Now let's zoom in on Ellis County and talk about locations. The storm is affecting from Maypearl up to Waxahachie. The strongest part of this moving towards Boz, 5 points there, probably just north of Forreston there, may move towards the Forreston area. If you're in the Midlothian area, there's nothing happening there. It's missed you to the southeast rather, south of the Red Oak area. So if you're in Midlothian, Red Oak, not affecting you there. It's going to should pass north of Italy there. So really, this is moving towards 35. This is the strongest part of the storm here. Not as organized. Could be some hail going on there as we move towards 5 points and move towards 35 here. There's Lumpkins. That's going to be closer to the Forreston area there. So just keep that in mind from Boz, 5 points. Lumpkins there. Let's get a little closer. Yeah, so Forreston here. This is the strongest part of the storm. That's going to continue to move off to the east, possibly a little more to the southeast now. And here's 876 from 5 points down to Bell Branch. So this storm is going to continue to move on. I think Bell Branch might be far enough north that you may be able to miss out on that. But as this continues to move eastward, it will move towards 35. And as it does, let me grab my coffee cup and talk to you a little while. If you're on the highway and you're getting these torrential rains, the heavy hail, those kind of things, do not pull under a overpass. You could impede emergency response. EMS, fire, police, whoever they may be, could be Encore, could be one of these, any of these agencies that need to respond. You need to not get under an overpass and block their way. So if you're on 35 or 77, any of these highways that have overpasses and this is coming towards you, do not, please do not go under those overpasses and stop there and get stuck there, because that will cause more issues than it will help. It might help you personally, but it could impede response to someone in a much more dangerous situation. Okay, let's get back to business. So this storm is continuing to move to the east, and we'll put this into motion here, kind of open this up a little bit. And this section of the storm does appear to be moving a little bit more to southeast, and I do think this is wind-driven. Doesn't look as clear as it did. Still could be some hail here, so I expect there's probably hail falling in the Boz area, moving out of Maypro very soon. It is moving towards 876 and towards I-35. So the 5 Points area, possibly down to Bell Branch. Bell Branch could get a northern section of this a little bit. Towards Forreston here. Neenah. Nash is here. And woo, yeah. You look at Boz here, look at 5 Points. It is bearing down these damaging, possibly damaging winds that are bearing down on the Neenah, Nelson, 5 Points area here. You see this bow shape, this bowing out. That's what I'm watching. That's going to be my main concern with all of this activity. So as this continues to push to the southeast, you will need to be prepared for damaging winds. There's also a hail threat. This is the same hailstorm that dropped baseball-sized hail in the Cleveland area a time ago. So definitely something to pay attention to. I'm being asked about Abilene. I think Abilene, I'm unsure. I would be surprised. Abilene is way down here to the southwest, southeast, excuse me. I'm going to keep saying southwest. We've been watching southwest for the storms all day, so that's why it's in my head. Abilene is farther to the southeast, and I don't know if this will continue to move that way, but what I am going to be paying attention to is that we do have the cold front now moving into the area. So as this continues to move in, eventually when it moves into all, and please slow down on town by town by town by town. Trust me, we will cover everything. If you look at the map and hopefully you know where you're at, you will better understand here in just a moment. So from Carrollton to Fort Worth, down towards getting closer to the Burleson area, down towards Maria, I know that the Dome is the shelter, and I'll get to Abilene in just a moment. But as we watch this cold front come in, that's going to push everything eastward, and southeastward. Now, the storm that we've been watching, as you can see, it is moving a little bit more southeastward, and we're getting more of a wind push here. It does look like we could have kind of a downburst that is pushing these cooler winds out ahead of the storm, causing its own problems. But we'll talk about this storm and where it's going to be heading. So here's Waxahachie. The strongest part of the storm will pass south of Waxahachie. Okay, so the National Weather Service, just briefly, the wind advisory went into effect, I believe, at 5 o'clock, and here's why. The cold front is currently located from Comanche to DFW Airport, seeing gusts of 40 to 50 mile per hour winds following its passage. And once the front moves through, the storm threat essentially ends. So let's keep talking about locations of this storm. Now, a new tornado watch has just been issued until 6 o'clock. So until 6 o'clock in the morning. This is probably going to be the watch that includes Navarro County. I would venture to say that probably will be. So let me just take a look, see if I can see where that. Let me just take a look and see if we're getting any indication there. Okay, no indication yet. of where that watch is, but I'm pretty sure that watch is probably going to include Navarro County tornado watch. But this storm, if you're in the Italy area, so far it looks like it will pass north of Italy. It's moving into 5 points now, moving really towards, get a little closer here, get some of these other names on the map, towards Nash and Howard at this point, moving towards Rager Springs, towards Forreston here. Moving further eastward, we're looking at, I've been asked about the Avalon area. I have a feeling it will move north of Avalon. But I would be more concerned about Bardwell downstream here. That's going to be several minutes from now. And then as we go forward, of course, we're watching in the Ennis area. Ennis may get some of this stronger activity in several minutes and going on from there. So that's the discussion further east. Wow, that's a very long spam comment that we're going to get rid of there. See if I can. Yeah, okay. Let's zap that. We don't have any time for that here, right? So yeah, new tornado watches for the remainder of our counties to the east and southeast. So see if I can see where that is located here. Well, the image is not there. These watches lately have been taking a long time to populate here. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that the watch does probably include Navarro County, and looks like that is until 6 a.m. So the watch for Ellis, Johnson, and Hill continues, I believe, 8 p.m. tonight? And then, well, it's not 6 a.m. They're using UTC time. So it's like they issue these warnings, and then you just sit there and wait for everything to populate, because it takes a while. And I don't know why it takes so long, but let me see if I can find... Okay, until 1 a.m. So that's until 1 a.m. So tornado watching, including Navarro County, until 1 a.m. So, just keep that in mind as we have the tornado watch until 8 p.m. Yeah, tornado watch until 8 p.m. for Ellis, Johnson, and Hill, and then 1 a.m. for Navarro County. So just keep that in mind as we go forward here. And we're starting to see possibly a new area of circulation trying to take hold here, so we'll get to that. This is the storm we've been watching. A lot of blow off the top here going into the Ennis area, the Palmer area. None of this is severe. None of this is dropping hail or anything of that sort. So we don't have to worry about that so much. But this storm is what I want to pay attention to. The 5 points area, moving into that area, moving south of Waxahachie, the Lake Waxahachie area, probably getting some heavier activity. Any hail core we would have is probably right around in fact, right on top of the Nelson area, just south of Neenah here. So 35, 77 here. Here's 55 where that branches off. So this is the strongest part of the storm at this point. And all the yellow here just means that this area is under a severe thunderstorm warning. Looks like most of Waxahachie is clear at this point, at least from this storm. I'm not seeing anything that immediately has me concerned about rotation. There is no tornado threat to Waxahachie. Let me just go ahead and address that comment right there. Okay, I'm just trying to keep track of what's going on. So they're going to trim this warning back. They'll trim that back to take parts of Ellis and Johnson counties out that are behind this storm. I don't see any immediate issues of rotation here with this storm. The main threat at this point is going to be here's where that's trimmed back. So if you're in Waxahachie, most of this is staying south of you. Midlothian, Red Oak, you're clear. Maypearl has moved out of your area. So this is what we're watching. We'll put this into motion a little bit here. And you can see that this is moving off to the east. So Bardwell, eventually in the Ennis area, that's where we're going to be more concerned. And we'll keep a watch on this. Now the decent highest hail threat is just off of 287 here, headed towards the Boyce area. So it's been interesting. These little hail cores have been kind of flexing and then weakening, and then flexing and weakening, just in different parts of this storm. Could be one west of Rager Springs there, one west of Boyce, and over towards 5 Points. I am going to take another look at the velocity view here. And again, I'm not seeing, it's very messy, very disorganized. I'm not seeing anything immediately concerning me about rotation here, but it will continue to be worth watching. Okay, and the National Weather Service brought up a good point. Before we do that, stronger winds south of Waxahachie here, possibly right around Lake Waxahachie there. So that's what that lighter red is pointing to. We do have that new tornado watch until 1 a.m. that includes Navarro County. Does not mean it's going to continue through 1 a.m. Navarro County is on the very back side, so Navarro County will be clear before then, but that it's just part of a tornado watch that covers a large area that will be expiring at 5 a.m. So 1 a.m. Excuse me. So keep that in mind. This is the storm we're watching right now, and let me get that position right where you can see everything. We're watching this tail. I'm sure a lot of people are looking at it. We're watching this tail moving into 5 Points, not seeing any signs of rotation at this very moment. But we do have a history of hail in this storm. It does seem to be a little less organized at this point, but we have seen this storm do what other storms have done in the past, where it kind of scales down and then scales up and then scales down and then scales up and kind of has cycles. Looks like we're on the lower end of the cycles here, and man, hearing plenty of thunder and those kind of things out the window now. But we are still seeing severe characteristics from this. Again, this thing has a history of producing baseball-sized hail, hearing words of tennis-sized hail, quarter-sized hail, everything, golf ball, everything in between. And so still a beast of a storm here. Boyce looks like could be getting, the Boyce area could be getting the meat of the hail threat at this point, possibly the Rager Springs area as well. But this tornado, or this storm, has not been tornado warned up to this point. We've seen some areas of rotation that have kind of increased and decreased, but not seeing that at this point. Just seeing sporadic areas of hail possible. Now seeing one towards southwestern Waxahachie. So this is 877 here. Here's Waxahachie. That's the downtown area. So 877 looks like, that's Howard Road. Looks like we're looking at possibly some heavier hail. Okay, seeing someone at Lake Waxahachie, haven't had the high winds, but looks like there could be heavier rain and possibly some hail headed towards that area. And this is headed right towards, this is right next to where Business 287 and 287 start to get closer together. So looks like that's probably Park Schoolhouse Road there. I believe that's what I'm looking at. I believe that's Park Schoolhouse Road. So just south of there is possibly another hail core developing. So could be some hail in that area. And then, of course, this is where 287 bypass and 287 business come together. So this area, this part of Waxahachie, most likely where there's possibly a little bit of a hail core there. But again, this is not very well organized at this moment. And yes, I am still watching this tail here, and that's been pretty persistent. It hasn't been organized rotation, but it has maintained its own little area here, just like it's just kind of dragging it along, waiting to see if it's going to activate that rotation. It doesn't look activated at this time, so I think we're clear for the most part and don't really have to worry about that. But as we zoom out, we may need to watch this storm in the Covington area. Looks like that could be increasing in intensity. It's very possible that what's happening here is the cold front is getting closer, and so that may be activating some of these smaller cells. Okay, again, just following some sources of information here to see what those offer. Okay, so continuing to watch, it could be some small hail just north of Covington here. This storm may need to be severe warned very soon. And then the storm in Ellis County here. Yeah, so again, we've had this kind of this blow off here that's pushing some of this rain eastward into the Ennis and Garrett area. Picking up in Garrett now. Boyce definitely picking up there. Well, there we go. Just more confirmation. Picking up in the Boyce area. Heavier activity in the Rager Springs area. More just north of Forreston there, north of Nash. And does look like this will miss the Avalon area. I know we had some questions about that activity. Okay, the gray, you're asking what the gray is right around the storm. That's just the lightest activity. As you go into the storm, you have the gray, green, yellow, red. That's just heavier activity. So the gray is just the lightest perceived precipitation by the radar. So it's just different radars you see are going to have different color schemes. And this one just happens to have the gray as just the lightest perceived precipitation by the radar. So that's all that is. Again, we're still holding on to this tail here. So a question about Ferris. Looks like most of this will stay south of the Ferris area. There's a couple of things I want to look at here. Let's take another look at the velocity view. And again, I'm still not seeing anything that's alarming about possible rotation here, but it's still kind of messy. So it's still hard to really tell exactly what we're looking at there, but not anything that immediately has me concerned. And I'm watching what the National Weather Service says in case they mention anything there. But again, I'm still not seeing anything that's really concerning me there. That said, yes, it has maintained this tail for quite some time. I mean, you watch the history of it just the last several minutes, and that tail has kind of popped. It does seem to be popping up a little bit more. And in the Covington area, headed towards north of Itasca there, so headed towards Files Valley and eventually towards Plum Grove here, a heavier cell. Doesn't look like this is very much of a storm yet. Plenty of heavy rain. Could be some smaller hail in that storm as well. Continuing to move off to the east, that will be moving towards southern Ellis County over the next several minutes. Definitely not the concern that this one is. This, of course, is that severe thunderstorm warning, so that continues for the next several minutes here. I will be continuing to, may be wrong, but I believe the gray around the storm is an outflow boundary. Not necessarily. Sometimes it does look that way. The gray can show an outflow boundary, but the gray, that's not exclusively all it is on the radar. It's also, the gray is just generally showing the weakest precipitation. Usually an outflow boundary is going to look gray because it's not usually raining. It's just seeing that there's some moisture in the atmosphere there that's a little more condensed. So I hope that answers that question. So as this continues to push eastward, we're seeing that tail kind of fall apart now. Again, ebb and flow, right? Swell and weaken, over and over again as this storm continues to move off to the east. I'm looking at, we could be looking at a bit of a hail core moving east towards Rager Springs right now, so that's going to be moving towards 287. That's one. Then another one moving towards the Garrett area. So from Garrett down to Ennis, some of this heavier activity moving eastward could very well be causing some hail to fall. And again, if you're on 45, say it again, do not, please, do not drive under or park rather under an overpass. Not a good idea. I might be up late tonight, but at least I'll be alert for this stream. So heavy rain, heavy activity continue to moving towards the Garrett and Ennis area. Here's the storm overall that we're looking at. If you're in the Waxahachie area, it's just moving off of 35 there. So all of this is definitely looking like it's moving away from the 35 corridor. Going to be moving across 287 over the next several minutes here. But the 35 corridor, if you're west of 35, you're clear of this storm. I can't guarantee for sure that you're done for the night. Looks that way at the moment, but I can't guarantee that. Yep, well, there we go. That's exactly what that's what I had in my head when I said that. We have the cold front causing a new line to develop. And it doesn't look like this is severe warned yet, but we'll see what happens as it moves through. It's possible that we could have stabilized some of this with this storm, but the cold front is going to activate, it's going to continue to do so. So as soon as we get this thing off to the east, we may be headed back to the west to cover this thing. This is that two-round stuff. You remember October of 2019, I believe it was, in Midlothian, a tornado went through that area, no tornadoes in Midlothian right now. Back in 2019, a potential uh, okay, and I'll address the next point there. But back in 2019, we had the tornado that moved through Midlothian, and then a squall line came immediately behind that. So, it looks like we could be looking at a 2-round deal. So we will cover that, and hopefully, hopefully this thing will cooperate and stay tampered down until this storm moves off to the east, so we can take them one at a time, right? I like my storms one at a time if I'm going to get multiples of them. So you see kind of this S shape here and doing some funky stuff, and we will take a look at that because S shapes are not that great either for these storms. And not seeing any kind of rotation here, not seeing anything that immediately has me concerned. Could be some pretty strong winds in the Rager Springs area. Wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of, wouldn't be too surprised to see too much, very heavy rain, very strong winds in the Rager Springs area, north of Garrett as well. Could be pockets of gusty winds here. Could be little microbursts that are happening in that whole mix, but not seeing anything resembling rotation. So that's a positive at least. Okay, so yeah, this is the storm that we have right now. Could be some hail west of Rager Springs. In fact, I would say we're starting to get some pink in there, maybe some purple. I would say let's definitely keep an eye on that. Could be some heavier activity falling there. Could be some hail popping up in that. That's just crossing 877 now, just before this curve here. So that will be moving towards 287, towards the Rager Springs area. Could be some hail in that part of the storm as well. But again, off to the west in Johnson County, nothing severe at this time, but here's the radar, so that's why you can't see for just a little bit of an area. But we are seeing this cold front move in, and two things about the cold front. One, it will bring another round of showers and thunderstorms. Doesn't look like any of this is severe at this time, but it will bring a round of storms. And then behind it, we've been hearing reports of 40 to 50 mile an hour winds behind the front. So if there's any kind of lawn furniture or I've got a trash can out there that might become my neighbor's problem here in the next several minutes. But this front will bring strong gusty winds. There's a wind advisory in place, in fact. So yeah, that will be moving in. And if you're asking about Oklahoma, I can't help you. Way too far north. I'm staying here. All right, well, let's keep to this area. So this is the only severe storm, really the only intense storm at this time. Again, we do have some of that activity over in Johnson County that's moving along the front, but doesn't look as intense here. Give me a moment as I very not so sleekly pull the shoes off camera here. Man, those really made me taller. Didn't even realize that until I was looking at the camera here, but now I just look fatter. That's just not helping. So this storm continues to move off to the east, continuing to look at a hail threat. Hail threat and strong winds are the primary issues in this. See if I can adjust the camera ever so slightly, just a little lower there. There we go. Well, now I'm too tall. This is what I get for trying to adjust this on the fly here. There we go. That's a little better. Okay, so this is the storm that we see continuing kind of just down, really due east almost on 287, moving into the Garrett and Ennis area now. So it is moving into the Ennis area now, moving towards Bardwell. So we have had plenty of history of hail in this area, in this storm. So just understand, could be some hail issues with this storm. It doesn't show signs of rotation at this moment. Just, really not concerned about that at this time. Have not really heard any reports of, let me take a look here. Okay. Again, looking at Twitter, just making sure not missing anything new. But as this continues to move off to the east, it looks like the gusty winds are coming kind of in pockets. And that's what makes me think we're looking at downbursts or microbursts. So just don't be surprised if there's, a sudden burst of gusty winds. And sometimes you see it where your rain goes from Forrest Gump big fat rain to suddenly there's a monsoon and it's just blowing like crazy. That can be those downbursts or those microbursts where you have a sudden push of cool air outside of the storm, goes down and out. That's where you get those winds that seem to just suddenly hit you, right? So we could be seeing some of that in this storm. So instead of a sustained damaging wind, we're probably looking at just areas, pockets of stronger winds in this storm. In fact, if we go over to the velocity, and there's another update there, we can probably see that. And you can see that if you watch here closely, you can see just areas just kind of bubbling of stronger winds. One just north of Garrett now, one right along 287 there. So again, these little pockets of damaging winds. And yes, there are times when those can cause those little rotation spin-ups, but no signs of rotation in this storm right now. Not really concerned about that. And I'm sure you see this little tail west of Bardwell. It has maintained that tail for some time, but not really worried too much about rotation out of this storm. Has not been able to get organized. There was a point when it was southwest of Maypearl, west or southwest of Maypearl, that it looked like there was some pretty intense rotation. National Weather Service was a little bit skeptical of what they were seeing. Okay, so storm chasers in Ellis County. Okay, reports. Well, not reports, but we could see the velocity. But National Weather Service was a little bit skeptical of the velocity data, thinking that it may have looked worse than it was, and it was pretty messy. So I was erring on the side of caution, telling everybody, hey, we're not sure what we're seeing here. Go ahead and take shelter now in case there's something going on. We're fortunate that we didn't really see anything happen, so we didn't have to be too worried about that. But it is this is continuing to move on to the east, and it has maintained this little tail most of the time it's been moving through. Good news is it hasn't really done a whole lot with it. So we're just going to hold on to that positivity. But we do still have the hail threat with this storm as it continues to move eastward. It's not moving that quickly, 30 miles per hour, not too slow or fast for a storm, pretty average, but it does take its time. So if you're in a flood-prone area, that's something I haven't really mentioned tonight. There's some flood issues being reported up north. New severe thunderstorm warning coming for the storm in Ellis County continues east into northern Navarro and Henderson. Hail up to 1.5 inches possible with that cell. So still seeing a pretty decent hail threat with this storm. And they mentioned Navarro County, which really hasn't had much of a mention so far. It does look like, though, this is going to move into far northern Navarro County. Alma, Rice, I know you folks are probably watching here. I really do think that it will probably at least mostly miss you to the north. Alma could get some. In fact, it does look like Alma will get some from this, but I don't think the main part of the storm will move there. I'm a little more concerned about Valley Farms up in far northern Navarro County. I think it will mostly miss to the north there. So I think that's really the story of what we're going to see. And this little cell, not really doing anything. So this is just going to kind of pass through, maybe bring some rain. Here's the cold front that is activating here. So from Joshua up to Burleson to Mansfield and Rendon on north up into the Arlington area. Strong activity pushing eastward there. New severe thunderstorm, no new warning yet for, yeah. So, okay, had to filter through here. So the new severe thunderstorm warning for Ellis and Navarro counties until 7:45. So we'll get to that here in just a moment. I can see that on the screen now. But this is the cold front that is moving through. So if you're behind the cold front for the areas of Godley, Crescent, Lakeshore Estates there, all of these areas, you're done for the night. Once the cold front moves through, you should be done. There shouldn't be anything else really to talk about. But it could bring some strong winds. And behind all of this, we're talking 40 to 50 mile an hour wind gusts with this. So, hello, that will take any kind of outdoor ornaments you have and transport them somewhere else. So if you're behind this storm and ahead of the cold front, you have outdoor items that you want to secure to the ground, make sure you do that, okay? You definitely need to do that. I've got a trash can out here that I'm hoping doesn't go too far, but if it does, I'll just have to apologize to my neighbor tomorrow and we'll work that out. But the storm We do have the new warning here, so let me just show this and get my fat body out of the way. Hopefully getting rid of this soon. I know that I've been talking a lot about that. One of these days I'll have a, hour-long live to talk about all the medical news I've had for anybody that even cares out there. But for the most part, let's just keep to the weather. This is the new severe thunderstorm warning, and you can see it includes parts of Navarro County. And you notice that it goes pretty far south here. And for the most part, this is moving due east, but the cold front eventually could push this a little bit more southward, so we could get some southeast motion there. So it could affect areas like Rice, just north of Current. I know Elm Flats is an area that matters there. Valley Farms there, and then Gunbarrel City, eventually Malakoff there too, Trinidad. So, we could see some of the motion there pushing this a little more southward than it originally was. So as it continues to move on, that could necessitate looking further south, but it also goes pretty far north. They're making it wide for a number of possibilities here. These storms sometimes have a mind of their own. Big truth there. We are seeing the hail starting to cycle upward, more intense there. So north of Bardwell there, this is 287. Here's the bypass around Ennis. So here, north of Bardwell, between Bardwell and Garrett there, hail core definitely becoming more intense as it moves into Ennis. So be prepared. This thing has a history of producing baseball size, golf ball size, tennis ball size hail. So larger hail for sure. And that is continuing to move on to the east, possibly the southeast. And Chris, you're talking about how random I can be, squirrel moments and then back to it. ADHD, I try to make the best of it. So let's take a look at the velocity view here, and definitely seeing more focused areas of strong winds. So the backside of this storm definitely becoming the most intense here. So strong winds, strong potentially damaging winds, and large hail heading towards the Ennis area. Let's take a look at the hail parameters here. And right there around Bardwell, so Bardwell and north, that is where we're seeing some of these the larger possible hailstones. This is going to continue to move off to the east, so definitely keep that in mind. Large hailstones are possible with this storm, and we have seen that over the last, a couple hours or so that we've been on the air. How long have we been on? We're going on, just over an hour and a half here. So over the past hour, we have seen the hail threat with this storm. Let me get back to just the regular reflectivity here. But where you see these pockets of purple, that's where we're seeing the likelihood of some damaging hail moving into the Ennis area. So definitely need to pay attention there. No tornado threat with this storm at this time. But, we're looking at this hail threat, and I'm also going to I'm going to give a moment of personal indulgence, if you will. I've been told to plug this more, so I'm going to obey all the suggestions I've gotten. There, if you want to support what I do in the operation, the information is there. Just taking a quick moment sorry, I'm having Brooke, he was saying you have Fox 4 on. Hey, Fox 4 has a great team. I will personally say that. So it doesn't offend me at all if you're watching them instead of me. Trust me. You could tell me you're watching somebody else instead of me. I don't care. I'm not going to tell you not to watch somebody else. I'm not going to tell you to all those things. I don't like the workplace politics and all this. But we do have a hail core northeast here of Bardwell. So this is going to be, it's not exclusive to this area. We could still see plenty of hail in up towards the Garrett area too. A lot of lightning out of this as well. So lightning, possibly some hail here, focused really on the east side of Ennis here, southeast of Ennis, and really in the Lake Bardwell area here that I can see. And yes, we do have the tornado watch that continues continues until 8 p.m. for our area. The tornado watch continues until 1 a.m. for Navarro County, but Navarro County will be clear before then. It's just that they're on the backside of a larger watch that, goes until that time. But don't worry, it won't be, Navarro County won't be waiting until 1 a.m. to get cleared from this. So this is the most intense storm we have right now. So, yeah, getting plenty of reports of hail in Ennis. So the hail event has reached the Ennis area now. So definitely get indoors for sure as you go forward here. That needs to be emphasized multiple times. And I'm hearing weird clouds in Palmer. You're outside of the storm, so you don't have to be worried about that as much of there's motion and things in the clouds. No rotation reported at this point, just a wind threat and a hail threat at this time. We need to go back to the west, though. Every time I check this thing, it looks more intense. So yeah, if we put this into motion, this is the cold front, and you can see it's kind of, we call this zippering. Further south is like you're opening a zipper down the cold front, and this is activating here. So as we continue to watch, this is not severe warned at this time. I wouldn't be surprised to maybe see some hail in this. It's a pretty thin line as we go forward. But this line is quickly moving off to the east. 40 to 50 mile per hour winds possible. 40 to 50 mile per hour winds behind this cold front. So as this moves through, man, oh man, it's going to be windy out of this. That's why there's a wind advisory overnight tonight through 10 a.m. tomorrow. And then tomorrow stays windy as well. It's going to be 51 degrees across the area. It was 70 some odd degrees today, 50 degrees tomorrow. Spring in North Texas. This is a powerful cold front, and that's why you're seeing this developing there. And I would say, okay, you're asking about Midlothian. I would expect this to hit Midlothian in the next 10 to 15 minutes, if that. It's moving pretty quickly. It's almost already there now. I'm sure you can, see it there. So the next several minutes, but we need to get back to Ennis because I am consistently getting more and more concerned about this hail threat, really in the southern Ennis area. So between Ennis and Ensign there, I don't know if you say Ensign or Ensign, that's the way I read it. It will be moving right along 287 here. So the 287 bypass, I'm concerned about this moving towards the Alma area. Let me zoom out just a little bit so you can get a better idea. This pink area, this is going to be the largest hail, and I'm hearing a lot of smaller hail sizes. I'm just watching the reports that are coming in. P to nickel-sized hail in Ennis. So I'm hearing a lot of smaller hail sizes here, but the larger hail looks like it'll be just on the south side of Ennis here, moving eventually towards Alma. So if you're in the Alma area, you definitely need to be prepared for large hail, possibly as far north as Creechville once that keeps going. But as this continues to move through, you need to be paying attention to all of this. The hail, we don't have a tornado threat at this point, but this hail can still do damage. It can still make quite a bit of a mess. So certainly keep that in mind as you go forward. And I'm checking some notifications and those kind of things here too, just to make sure. Just make sure we're staying on track. Okay, excellent. All right, cool. Yeah, so this activity continuing to move on to the east, and very large hail possible here. And as we've been showing this a little bit, so I'm going to go back to it. Okay, and we'll go back to the west here momentarily, but this gray area. This is where severe hail an inch in diameter or greater is possible. So let me get back. Okay, lots of good reports in Ennis of hail. Keep it coming. Keep giving me your specific locations. Hail getting stronger near Ennis High School. That sounds about right. That's in the area where it's going to be more intense. Let's get back to this view. Just keep your eyes on, okay, here. So yeah, here's the ping, and you see this is kind of expanding here, kind of getting a little bit wider to where the Sonoma area up there, all the way down to on the other side of 287 towards Ensign there. This is where we're going to see the stronger hail. Getting reports of pea-size hail in northern Ennis, golf ball size in downtown Ennis. Yeah, so plenty of hail falling in Ennis right now. Yeah, definitely need to pay attention to the hail in that area. So if you're in the Ennis area, get inside of a structure somewhere, get away from windows just in case one of those larger hailstones happens to fall. definitely keep that in mind going forward for that area. Okay, and Shanna, you're asking how fast to drive on the highway to get away from this storm. The best thing to do is to pull over, to be completely honest. I mean, this thing is moving probably what? I'm almost afraid to tell you because I don't want you to do the wrong thing. I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to tell you how not to act. But I mean, we're talking winds. It's moving east at 35 miles per hour, but you know, you're driving on a road. This thing is moving straight through. I don't advise trying to outrun one of these storms. That is simply an oversimplification, if I ever saw one, of how these storms work. So if you're concerned about this, you need to pull over and wait for the storm to move through. And I'm seeing people asking if they're done. You ain't done. Look at that. Well, all that's coming through. There is nobody in Ellis County that's not going to get something from this cold front. Okay, look at this thing moving through. I mean, it's just outrageous. Okay, this is not severe, but there's plenty of lightning in it. It's making a statement as it moves through. Heavy rain. It'll be thin as it moves through, so not a lot. But as it continues to move eastward, you're going to get a quick shot of crazy heavy rain. Then there's 40 to 50 mile per hour winds possible behind the front. Okay, so done isn't even in our agenda for tonight, at least not for this point, not in Ellis County. But in the Ennis area, we continue to watch this hail event unfolding. So, okay, so a lot of pea-sized hail, and so the storm's coming for the Midlothian area right now. Not severe, but it's going to look pretty intense, right? It's not severe warning at this time, but it's going to look pretty daunting because you have a cold front barreling at you, and there's 40 to 50 mile per hour winds behind that storm. So it's gonna do something, and I'm interested to see what. I'm going to open the window here because I want to see what these winds look like, and I'm a little concerned about. I'm sure I'll be picking up tree limbs tomorrow, and all those kind of things. And you know, if you need roof repair, then hey, we got a sponsor for that. Go to the page and look up at the top and find that. All these different things, all these different services that you might need. Let me get a quick drink of water here. And we'll zoom out in just a moment, but I want to emphasize again, hailing again by the high school there in Ennis, almost golf ball size hail. So yeah, I mean, this is what we're looking at. But we're hearing, I've heard a few reports now of quarter-sized, golf ball-sized hail in the Ennis area. So that sounds pretty consistent. So it looks like we're looking at quarter to golf ball size hail, probably the maximum here in the Ennis area. It could be a little more. Okay, and hearing reports of some hail in the cold front. The cold front's going to cause a lot of lift, so not too surprised about that. 5 minutes ago, a mile west of Ennis, but an inch and a quarter sized hail. So yeah, we're getting larger hail out of this system, and that's going to continue to move on to the east. If you're in the Alma area, you need to be prepared for this larger hail to move in. And looks like it will probably move north of Rice. I can't guarantee that, but at this point, it looks like it's going to continue to move off to the east. And unless it starts to push to the southeast a little more, I think the storm may be out of our area before it starts to do that. But the hail threat now, and as I say that, the hail threat continues. Look at this bright pink in here. My gosh, just look at that. And it's starting to bow out a little bit too. So I would be concerned about strong winds and large hail coming for the Alma area here. So Alma, right there, right on 287. That's I believe that's 1183 there. So be concerned about this continuing to move to the east, possibly now the southeast. So if you're in the Rice area, be paying attention to that as well. Okay, I'm getting a picture here of the hail that's fallen in the Ennis area. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely believe definitely believe what you're sending me here. But hail continuing to move through, now eventually, slowly but surely moving out of the Ennis area, moving towards Alma, going to be moving towards far northern Navarro County. This will miss Corsicana to the north. It looks like it should. But if we zoom out, let me kind of give you a, just checking the surroundings here, let me kind of give you a broader look at everything that's happening. So here's the storm we've been watching. We've been hanging with this storm for the past hour and 45 minutes here. That's going to continue to move on to the east. Clip northern Navarro County. Corsicana will stay away from that. But then farther to the west, move this a little bit here, we do have the cold front that is creating new storms. I am getting some reports of hail in this part of the storm. So this cold front could be bringing some hail to that area. Okay. So getting a new severe thunderstorm warning for this part of the storm, for so it's for hail 1.25 inches possible. And so, yeah, we're going to be looking at a severe thunderstorm warning for Johnson, Ellis, and parts of Hill County here momentarily. So we'll see that very soon. So we really have a couple of things going on. If I can get my cursor to come back to me here. So let me kind of step out of the way and allow you to see what's going on across our area right now. There is a little bit of rain in the Whitney area, not anything severe, not anything intense. Major hail situation just outside of Ennis there. Heavy rain moving into Alma now. Going to be a hail situation there very soon as well. Hail and damaging wind in this storm that continues to be severe. And then this is the cold front off to the west. So hail possible in this storm as well as some damaging winds possible as well. And then behind that, we'll be looking at not severe winds, but 40 to 50 mile per hour winds behind that. So definitely plenty going on weather-wise across our area. We've got an update now. Let's go back to this hail core now moving into the Alma area. So keep in mind, if you're in the Alma area, strong winds and that hail core moving in right now. I've been hearing reports of quarter and golf ball size hail for the most part here. That's predominantly what we're going to see, but we'll see that continue to move on to the east here. Just check on something very quickly here. Looks like Tiger the weather cat making his way inside. He probably picked up on what was coming in. he decided it was time to come inside. So he'll probably be coming here in the studio very shortly here, I would imagine. But this hail core continuing to move on to the east, and speaking of cats, Knox has been sleeping right through this whole thing. Black cat here, he could not care less what is happening right now. But this hail core, again, could bring golf ball size hail. It's been sustained here for a while, so I'm concerned about the hail sizes getting larger with this. It's very possible that we could see hail getting larger for that area. So, golf ball size hail definitely going to be possible. Let's go check out this new, I'm waiting for this new severe, there it is. So for the southern portion of this, new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for this storm, for this line, and let's check out the speed on this. This is going to be moving pretty quickly. We're talking moving eastward, let's see. Okay, moving east at 30 miles per hour. I thought it was moving faster than that. 60 mile per hour winds and $half size hail possible in this storm as it moves off to the east, and that's until 8 o'clock. So that will actually be effective for the next hour. And it's a pretty large area. So this is going to be heading towards from Waxahachie down to Italy, down east of Hillsborough there, down to the Bynum area. So that's where that warning is issued. And that's for this line. I don't expect a tornado threat from this line, okay? No tornado threat here. Damaging winds possible, large hail possible out of this line. This is right along the cold front, so it's lifting all of that remaining moisture and could, in fact, there we go. So we could have a hail core just to the west of Parker, just east of Rio Vista there. So Okay, report out of Bardwell of 1.75 golf ball sized hail in the Bardwell area. That's what's heading towards the Alma area right now. But just to the west of Parker, east of Rio Vista, is and Derek, we are live right now at 7 o'clock. So yes, this is live currently right now. West of Parker, this is the cold front that's pushing this line of storms in. This has just been severe warned. So moving in towards Grandview there, moving towards Covington, moving towards Blum, continuing to probably extend farther to the south, the west there. So getting a report of, golf ball sized hail in Alma. I had to read through that for a second. So let's go back over to the east here. So in the Alma area, getting reports of golf ball sized hail in this storm. It does look like it will move north of Rice. So I do think that Rice will be spared this, but if you see there, that is Valley Farms. As this continues to move on to the east, I do think that Valley Farms will possibly be affected by this. That is moving out. And now the cold front is pushing these storms in. Just now moving into Midlothian, moved into Venus, moving out of Alvarado now. And then as we look there, let's just take a broad view of everything happening across our area right now. Here's the cold front pushing this new segment of severe storms eastward towards really southwestern. It's in southeastern Johnson County now. Western portions of Ellis County, northern Hill County. Let's see if we can let the. There goes Tiger now, looking for me to move my stuff so he can get in the window and check all of this out. Excuse me, one quick. Let's go drink of water here. Okay, yeah, a couple of reports of baseball-sized hail in the Alma area. So this storm will be moving out, and we do have the new line that is moving in. And once this is through, you're done. If you're in Johnson County and this has moved through your area, you are done for the night. We just need the cold front to come in. Now, as I mentioned, the other concern is the winds of 40 to 50 miles per hour that will be moving in with this. So, that's really going to be the main concern here. Something hit my lip there. I had to get that out of the way. But we'll continue to watch this segment of this line as the cold front continues to move eastward. But this storm, really the most intense part of this, is this storm that is now moving out of the Alma area. So Alma will start calming down soon. Rice, northern parts of Rice are getting some of this, but it will mostly stay to your north, moving towards Valley Farms here. So that's the next area that's kind of under the gun here. So as you're looking right along 85 there, that's where this thing is moving. So you see the kind of the purples here. That's going to continue to move on towards the Valley Farms area. The most in Navarro County will be spared this section of things, but this off to the west, there's no getting away from this. There's no avoiding the cold front here. And you can see, with this back into motion, you can see that it just continues to build further to the southwest towards Morgan now. And as this continues to move through, I'm hearing one of the constables said 20-degree drop last few minutes in the Italy-Milford area. I'm not sure if the temperature would have dropped that much in the Italy area yet. The cold front is still moving through eastern portions of Johnson County, western Ellis County. So behind the front, there will absolutely be a drop in temperatures. But I don't know that we would see that much of a drop yet in the Italy-Milford area. We're not behind that front yet. Okay, so high winds, hail and lightning on 1182. That sounds just about right. Seeing some more reports coming into the comments here. All right, so this storm, if we take a look at this, does look to be cycling down. So we've seen this cycle up and down and up and down. does look like it's cycling downward here. So this storm does look to be weakening as it approaches Valley Farms. I'm sure that's welcomed by the folks in that area. So the severe part of this storm will just barely clip northern parts of Hill County. Not much of Hill County is going to be included in this. This has moved east of Alma now, east of Ennis, moving out of that area. I'm sure I'll be getting a lot of pictures of the hailstones that are on the ground in Ennis. I've already gotten several. A beautiful pan, a beautiful look at the front moving into the Arlington area. Some beautiful pictures that I may post later this evening. Can't do it right now, but might do that later this evening. I'm just kind of going through what folks are seeing. But this storm does appear to be weakening a little bit as it moves towards the Valley Farms area. So bear that in mind. But what's not weakening is this part of the storm near the cold front. Let's take a look at the velocity view here. And you can see these winds, especially south of Midlothian. Look west of Waxahachie. Long winds pushing in with the cold front, with these storms. No tornado warnings tonight. Let me just address that question right now. No tornado warnings, but, yeah. Looking out my window now, and you can see the things clearing out right before the cold front moves in. That's fun. All right, so strong winds west of Waxahachie, and again, behind the front, when you're in over in Johnson County, I'm sure they're starting to get pretty strong winds in the Burleson, Joshua, Cleburne area where the front has cleared. There's been reports of pretty strong winds, 40 to 50 mile per hour winds behind the front. So this is severe warned. We do have this severe thunderstorm warning here until 8 o'clock. So about another 52, 53 minutes from now. Dark line of clouds right along the beginning edge of this. So that sounds about right. Just had a line of darker clouds move into my area here in northeastern Waxahachie. So, okay. Something about WeatherBug reporting. Well, WeatherBug is probably saying that you're not warned. So I don't know what you define as bad weather. Saying that WeatherBug said there's no bad weather coming. Well, WeatherBug might have been saying there's no severe weather, and you're not severe warned right now. So I don't know that it was wrong, but those generic messages from WeatherBug and these other apps, I'm right here. I can give you detailed information. I can tell you exactly what's happening. Hey, I'm just saying. I think that my intelligence is better than artificial intelligence any day. I'm just letting you know. But it's going to, let's see. Okay, so we have this line along the front moving in, and it looks like just west of, in the Parker area, really, just west of Grandview, probably where we're seeing most of the hail right now. So Parker, I know you got hail earlier. Here's another helping for you in case you wanted that. I'm sure you didn't, but that is what we're watching now. And while this storm is still kind of hanging out in our area, it's moving out very soon, moving into Henderson County very shortly. With the Valley Farms area, you do have some hail moving your way, and that will continue to move on to the east. Okay, let's see. All right, I'm just watching the chat, watching the new things that are coming across. But this line, it's going to clear out of Midlothian pretty soon, clearing out of Venus, Alvarado, you're clear now. Moving into Grandview, over to Mount Peak, Red Oak, moving into Waxahachie very soon. In fact, I'm looking out now, and I'm just now getting the clouds at my location northeast of Waxahachie. So should be rocking and rolling here very soon where I am. And hopefully, we haven't lost power yet. So hopefully these ridiculous winds behind the front don't cause any issues, but we'll wait and see. So and these little segments, when you see these bowing out segments, be paying attention to those right there, and then this one west of Ferris there, could be stronger winds pushing out ahead of this. So definitely keep that in mind. Reported pea-sized hail in the Ovilla area. That's great. West of Waxahachie. Not hearing reports of hail, but could be seeing some stronger winds there. and then north of Itasca, they're northwest of Itasca. Keep that in mind. That could be where we're seeing most of the hail threat at this moment. Getting more pictures here. Okay, and okay, well, the weather cat is getting up on the computer now. That's looking at the radar. Okay, checking out the radar. I guess he's checking things over. Tiger, what are you doing, dude? Yeah, I'm talking to you. Come here. Get away from the keyboard. I don't want you near the keyboard. Okay, you know what? Come here. You get to be on air because you're not behaving. Tiger the weather cat, everybody. I'm just going to hold him here so he doesn't hit the keyboard and mess something up. Don't need that. So, here you go. 5 minutes of fame. So, here's the most intense part of the storm. You can see all the lightning and all the, probably where we're seeing the hail at this point. So, that's where I'm going to be mostly concerned about severe weather. See if I can zoom this in with my left hand here. So, right in the Grandview area. So all this yellow, again, this is the severe thunderstorm warning, just east of Parker here. So moving towards the Grandview area, moving towards I-35 west. Again, do not stop under overpasses. Not a good idea. And you know what? You're going to... Okay. He likes to be held like this. He's the most spoiled cat in the world, just so everybody's aware. But this is where you're going to see most of this intense activity off to the east of Grandview there. So just keep that in mind. Do whatever you want to do, man. You're just, you know, doing your thing. Now, I will point out that they just pulled the severe thunderstorm warning back here. So in the Cleveland area, Keene, Alvarado, Lone Willow, you've been pulled out of that severe thunderstorm warning. If you're behind this cold front, you're done. Now, something else that's happening is we are starting to see what's probably an outflow boundary pushing ahead of this. That will help to mitigate the severe weather threat with all of this. Okay, increasing rotation on the cell at the intersection of Ellis, Navarro, and Henderson counties. So in this storm here, let me let's take a look at that. Okay, yeah, well, there you go, and that's probably rain wrap too. So, okay, here, juggle a cat in the weather. This is crazy. So we are seeing these increasing winds, and again, you have your inflow and your outflow. All of this, you see the yellow there, that's where we're looking at the more intense activity. So we definitely need to keep an eye on this. Now, this is just barely within Navarro County, just far northern Navarro County here. So definitely keep that in mind. More reports of hail along that system. So yeah, in the Valley Farms area, could be looking at rotation, and you think this is crazy. You should have seen when I had my infant son in my arms. That was really difficult. But just keep in mind that we're looking at rotation, trying to wrap up here. You know, I don't know that we're going to see anything tornadic out of this. The positive on this is that we are. The positive and negative, we see this possibly rain wrapped. Okay, you can get down now. Just don't touch anything. So we're looking at inflow moving in here, and there's a good-bad kind of dynamic here. The good is that it's moving into an area that's mostly covered by rain, so hopefully that will serve to kind of mitigate any possible inflow here and kind of limit what happens. The negative is if there is tornadic activity, it would likely be rain wrapped and hard to see. So there's kind of there's a pro and con to work there. So just keep that in mind. But this is moving into Henderson County, so more of a Henderson County issue here, moving out of the South Metro weather area. We need to go back to the west here and talk about this cold front. Now, I'm still seeing what looks like an outflow boundary trying to push out ahead of this. That will bring cooler winds to that part of the storm ahead of it. But, you know, that could also help mitigate any kind of severe weather threat. So that will be the positive here, is if this can pull ahead, Number one, it'll mitigate any kind of a tornado warning, tornado threat here. And we have a tornado warning coming that Valley Farms area, so we'll get there just momentarily. But if we get this alpha boundary up, that will mitigate any tornado threat that might have been there. It's pretty low anyway, but that will keep the inflow from coming in and causing any kind of circulations on the leading edge here. We do have a tornado warning coming for parts of Henderson and Navarro County. So this will include part of Navarro County, so we should see that warning coming up here any moment now. And it is for this storm. So if there is a tornado here, unfortunately, that will likely be rain-wrapped. So that's heading towards Harmony, towards Gun Barrel City, Tool here. So keep that in mind if you're in those areas. Pretty soon I'm going to have to pull my coverage to the west, because this is, for the most part, outside of the South Metro area, and I have to stay focused on those areas where I am, covering. Okay. Gotten a video here of some cloud motion. It looks like rotation in the Creechville, looking in the Creechville area towards Corsicana from Rice. So that's probably this rotation that we just saw here. So the tornado warning coming for that. We haven't seen that yet, but should be a tornado warning coming for this cell. And you have your hail core there north of Valley Farms. I'm not sure if Navarro County will really be included in that tornado warning. It looks like that's mostly Henderson County now. So mostly moving to the east. And okay, so that's old. That's an old picture. So not seeing anything new. Okay, so the tornado warning just issued. Looks like that's going to be far northern portions of Navarro County now. So not a whole lot happening in our particular area. So let me just take a look. Okay, yeah. So just barely anything, just barely any of Navarro County included in this tornado warning that will be up there now. And this is the first tornado warning we've had tonight. Good news is for the South Metro area, it's just at the very, very tippy top of Navarro County here. So that's going to continue to move on to the east. We'll take another look at the velocity view here. Definitely seeing rotation. That has crossed into Henderson County now. That's north of the river there. So that's going to be in Henderson County. Brandon, I'll zoom out here in just a moment, and we'll go back to the west and talk about those storms moving in. But we do have portions of Navarro County. Here's that warning. So there are portions, mostly right along the river there, that are included in this tornado warning. But I do think that this stays in Henderson County for the most part as that moves on. So we'll move back over to where this cold front is moving in. And it looks like in the Wilmer area north of Ferris, there's a hail core there. Probably another hail core north of Itasca there to the east of Rio Vista there. So this is the cold front that's moving through. No, not really looking at a tornado threat here. Mostly a wind situation here. Could be some hail in that as well. Not seeing too much out of this yet in my location. Looks like it's just starting to move in. But this severe thunderstorm warning continues for about another 40 minutes here. So we do have this system, this cold front that's pushing all of this through. If you're in Midlothian, Venus, Cleburne, Alvarado, you're done. Where the cold front has already moved through, temperatures are dropping, and you're done for the night. So that is a positive. After this line moves through, you're done. You don't have to worry about much else. Let's take a look in the Files Valley area here. Okay. Yeah, no signs of rotation. I saw a little bit of a notch there, so just wanted to check. But we do have stronger winds in this line. So just understand that there's hail and strong winds in this area. Looks like the question about looks like the hail. Trevor Scott, you're asking about the hail. Look, that should have moved east of Ennis now, at least the hailstorm that we had. Okay, so cells along the Dallas County line are borderline severe, so they'll be filling this area in with a severe thunderstorm warning too. Mostly, again, hail and high winds for this line. So it looks like this line is also severe now. Pretty pretty far up and down, and these will be straight line winds. These are not rotating winds. These are, damaging winds that are all blowing in the same direction. Quite a force in these storms, so this needs to be respected as well, and this will move through the whole area. Will they stay severe? Time will tell, but that's really what we're most concerned about. And at the moment, it looks like we're getting a little bit of an outflow boundary possibly here in the Whitney area, headed towards Hillsborough too. So again, looking at a possible outflow boundary, that has kind of, what you can tell is where the outflow boundary starts. You don't see much more from this line. So where the outflow boundary is moving ahead of these storms, they are weakening. It's getting cut off from all of that inflow there. So yeah, the outflow boundary is starting to push out ahead. That's limiting this part of the line. But north of that, we do still have severe characteristics for those storms. The tornado warning that's been issued, we do still have that in far northern and far eastern portions of Navarro County, but the rotation now moved into Henderson County. They're headed towards Gun Barrel City. So that is headed out of Navarro County, out of the immediate South Metro weather area. So that will be not necessarily our concern. Really, our biggest concern now is the cold front that continues to move through. Looks like we could be getting a surge of heavy rain and strong winds there in the Itasca area. This almost acting like its own storm, and that may bear watching there. Let's take a look at the velocity and see. Yeah, we have some winds picking up there. Not really much in terms of rotation here, fortunately. That outflow boundary will continue to move ahead. You can see that there. That outflow boundary will continue to move ahead of that and mitigate any kind of risk there. And let's take just a broad view of everything that's going on. And as we talked about, you kind of see these two rounds here of severe weather. You have the storm that's prompted this tornado warning, that tornadic circulation moving into Henderson County there. And then these storms ahead, which are severe, but there's no tornado warning affecting there. And then you have the cold front. So that's this thin line that is marching across the area. So that is what we're looking at there. And I see the lightning, so probably going to be getting the thunder here pretty soon. Maybe able to hear that on the microphone, I'm not sure. There it is, yeah. So that will be a feature we'll be watching pretty soon. I wasn't hungry until now, but man, it just hit me. Wow. Looking forward to getting some food after this stream, so that'll be great. Okay, watching the stream here, watching the comments here as well. Hail reported in the Red Oak area. Let's go back and just check a few things. Pea-sized hail, Red Oak High School. Okay. Yeah, so hail and strong winds coming from all of this. So yeah, we're seeing a concentration of heavier activity moving right just south of Grandview there, right towards the Maypearl area there. And then southern Dallas County, northern Ellis County too, another area of some stronger activity. So we'll zoom into those areas. So right in the Files Valley area, one area of where we're seeing some heavier activity. And then we move on to the north between Pecan Hill and Lancaster there, moving towards Ferris, probably another area of some larger hail moving in. And then really this whole line should have some stronger winds associated with that as well, especially where we're seeing that outflow boundary pushing out ahead of all this. That will be another concern there. The rest of the area, let's just take a broad look at the South Metro area. Corsicana, it's quiet there, most of Navarro County, just far, far northern portions of Navarro County still getting this tornado warned storm, but that's moved over into Henderson County now. Far northern Hill County getting a strong part of this line. The rest of that looks pretty harmless here in northern Hill County. Johnson County is clearing out at this point, really moving out of there, and Johnson County really is clearing out overall. So not much happening in most of the area. It looks like Ellis County has been getting most of the brunt of this tonight. So this whole line is going to continue to move eastward. Okay, and that's a warning off to the north of us. So we'll focus in on Ellis County here. One area of hail moving into the Ferris area now. Then we have this area moving probably south on the south side of Maypearl towards 5 Points, Boz, Gray House, that area. Bell Branch probably as well. A lot of lightning with that too. And you can kind of see the two stronger areas of this line where all the lightning and all the darker colors are focused. In between there, still some gusty winds probably happening. Plenty of gusty winds northeast of Waxahachie, where I am located here. Heavy rain falling too. Not seeing any hail out of this in my location, but I've heard there was hail in the Red Oak area with this particular hail core, and then there's probably going to be some, again, headed towards the Auburn area there in that part of the storm as well. Okay, south of Auburn looks like moving into Files Valley now. Yeah, the thing is, there's going to be a lot of ugly looking clouds out of this because it's there's a lot of motion in all of this. And you're asking if that's a hook south of Maypearl. No, I'm not seeing any kind of rotation there. No rotation in this area. Really no rotation that I've seen in this line. So not expecting any kind of circulation or rotation as any part of this. So I think in this second line, this second round, severe weather or rotation is really not part of the calculus here. It's just going to be the heavier rain, the heavier winds, rather stronger winds, possibly some hail mixed in, and plenty of heavy rain and lightning, especially in parts of this. There goes Tiger back up to the computer there. I think he's trying to instigate me into sitting down, and he wants my attention. So he's trying to mess with it. Yeah, he's looking at me. He's waiting for me to go over there, pull him off of that, and probably give him some more attention. And you are. Yeah, I know. Yeah, now he's pushing buttons. So he's trying to. This is Tiger. If you didn't meet him earlier, he's trying to ruin. He's trying to hit buttons, and because he wants me to pick him up. You just want to be on camera, right? Is that your motivation here? You act like you're trying to get down, but then you try to get me to pick you up. You want me to sit down with you, right? He wants me to sit down and he can get snuggles and cuddles and all kinds of stuff going on. So here's what we're looking at, and where you see really I think the strongest wind threat is going to be right along, so right near Avalon there, all the way up to the Palmer area, all the way on up east of Ferris there. So that's really going to be where we're mostly focused, I think. And let me check some more of this coming in. Yeah, just getting pictures of hail and that kind of thing here. And why are you trying to get down? You just got up here. You wanted attention. Stop it. Most spoiled cat in the world, right here. Okay, trying to follow comments here. Yeah, so not seeing any kind of tornado threat with this second line. Let me just make that very clear, and make this a little more broad here as we're looking. Yeah, yes, I see you. Yeah, you want down. My Lord. No rotation in the Maypearl area. So there's been a couple of people that have mentioned that. Not seeing any kind of rotation in the Maypearl area at this time. Not concerned about that. Okay, I think he wants out now. So goes out now. He'll be back here in a few minutes. So if you missed the cat, I'm sure he'll be back pretty soon. No threat of tornadoes with this second line. I think we're done with tornadoes for tonight overall. So we are looking at some strong winds possible out of this line overall. Just a moment here. And okay, I'm getting a message from, could you give credit to who took that awesome picture? Haven't shown any pictures tonight. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Haven't received any. Haven't shown any pictures on the live stream. But we're looking at this line moving in. And as you can see, they're canceling all the warnings behind the line. We'll see this one get trimmed back as well. But as this continues to move eastward, we will see strong winds behind this. So the storms will be gone, but the strong winds will begin. We've been hearing reports of 30, 40, 50 mile per hour winds behind the front. So that needs to be taken into consideration for sure. And as this continues to move on eastward, we're not looking at a tornado threat. Hail possible here. Hail has been confirmed in different parts of this line, and the strong winds as well. And what I'll show you is that this line continues into northern Hill County, but really this has been pretty harmless for the most part. Another part of the strong part of this line continues to move eastward towards the Italy area there. And Yolanda, you're asking why is Red Oak not on the map? Just to address this, the towns pop up or go away as I assume in or out. I don't have any control over that. It's strictly due to the computer program. When it comes to Red Oak, I think it takes a while, not only because there are so many small towns in here that you have Oak Leaf, there's no room to put Red Oak there. But as I continue to zoom in, then the I-35 markers are there. As I zoom in, you finally, I still don't have Red Oak on the map, but it's right there. I think the reason for it is that there's just there's the highway there, there's all these little towns there. So, there's so much to notate. Okay, I'm just reading updates, but there's so much to be labeled around Red Oak. There's practically no place to put the town name. So there's just so much happening there that somehow Oak Leaf and Pecan Hill get there, but for whatever reason, I don't know why, Red Oak doesn't seem to be populating on the system. And it used to. I'm not sure why it does now. So I'm really not sure what's happening there. And let me go follow some reports. And there could be, and I haven't really talked much about this tonight, but there could be some concerns as it pertains to flooding across this area, especially if you had one of the storms earlier. If you had that storm earlier tonight, brought a big downpour, and then now you got this whole line moving through, there could be some issues with flooding across the area. So keep that in mind if you are in a flood-prone area and you've already had a storm tonight, especially if you've had a big downpour, you could see some flood issues as this new line moves through. So just bear in mind that if you're in a flood-prone area and you've already had some issues tonight, this could be a bit of a concern. The strongest part of this line continues to move through Ellis County. Part of that right here is just south of Maypearl, really moving into the Maypearl area. So as this continues to move on eastward, there will be from southern parts of Waxahachie down to Forreston, 5 Points, Boz, Great House, that's Italy there, down towards Milford. All of this, no tornadoes as a part of this, but could very well be a part of seeing some hail here. It looks like a little bit of a hail core trying to develop there, and then continuing on to the east. So hail possible, strong winds possible, especially most of the strong winds are going to be, I think, on the leading edge of this, but gusty winds possible is just part of this as well. Very heavy rain. If you're in a flood-prone area, that will be an issue as well. So I think that for the most part here, now that we have that one supercell out of the way, I do believe that we can say that the tornado threat has diminished greatly for our area. That is a great thing, and I don't think we're going to have any tornadoes along this line as it continues to move eastward. We will probably see more severe thunderstorm warnings that go up because of the hail and the strong winds that are possible. But I don't think we're going to see any kind of... somebody's at my front door. Looks like that's probably food going on right now. So thank you to whoever that delivery guy is that we unfortunately made drive through the storm. I hope he stays safe. Can we bring the cat? The cat's out right now, but hey, we'll see if the cat comes back. The other cat's passed out over here, so he's doing his. He's been napping this entire time. couldn't care less, apparently. I'm going to go back through comments here, just kind of see what is reported here. Okay, yeah, just starting to move into the Ennis area. So yeah, moving into the Ennis area, and that's kind of this part of the storm. Then back towards the Italy area is another cell. And this is kind of starting to act like its own storm. So that might be worth watching, but it does again. Let's see what this does. Let's take a look at the velocity view and see if we still have, it's kind of curvy here, but we still have this outflow boundary out ahead of that storm in Italy. If not for the outflow boundary, this storm that is just west of the Italy area could be acting as its own supercell and could have more of a tornado threat. But the positive thing is we do have this outflow boundary, and that at least should at this point be blocking any kind of inflow. Let me just let me check something real fast. Okay. I'm going back in some messages here. Trying to clear some notifications out, kind of get those out of the way, check a few things. Yeah, so a lot of pictures of the clouds and that kind of thing. So, the storm arriving in the Ennis area. And Ennis, Bardwell starting to get that now. We'll zoom into that a little bit. So it could be some hail. Again, spotty areas of hail in this. Damaging winds possible as well. So keep all of that in mind as this storm continues to move through. You're going to want to keep an eye on this cell west of Italy as well. Hail possible in this. Hey, doesn't really look like we're looking at anything too terribly intense. Just in general here. Hail possible, strong winds. But the good news is, again, we should be done with the tornado threat, at least for our area, because I don't see any of this that is really part of or really that would pose a tornado threat for us tonight. Again, if we look across the area, you can see off to our east, 2 tornado warnings continue. And these are, again, outside of the South Metro area. So from Gun Barrel City on up to near Mineola now, those 2 storms out east of our area. In the South Metro weather area here, really Ellis County is the only area getting hit by this. I will say that there are northern portions of Navarro County that should be watching this. This is just now moving into Italy and Milford. We'll be moving towards Frost and Blooming Grove, Berry, M House, Rice area as well. Moving towards Alma there. So this will continue to move off to the east. Once again, not looking at a tornado threat from any of this. Strong winds, heavy rain, some hail involved as well. That will probably be really the most of what we will see out of this. I'm just trying to keep track of what else happening here. So, get another drink of water too. I'm starting to lose my voice. I may not be talking much tomorrow. I'm sure my wife will love that. There are plenty of days when she just cannot get me to shut up. So, so it's moving out of Waxahachie now, starting to clear 35 from Waxahachie north. South of Waxahachie, there's this cell that is moving in. Not worried about tornadoes out of this, but still seeing heavy rain, possibly a little bit of hail in that as well. Haven't heard any hail reports from this one, I don't believe. Moving out of Maypearl now into 5 Points, Boz, Great House, that whole area down south into Italy and Milford as well. And then we have the rest of this line from Bardwell up to Ennis and Garrett, Palmer, up into Bristol and that area. As we get into, I don't want to forget. Chris, I got the cows comment, but there's no tornadoes going on, so I couldn't really do too much with that. I know it's a Twister reference. I'm well versed, but the backyard being flooded, mine probably is too. Trust me. definitely understand that. Let me gotta check something here. Okay. Okay, wind, getting reports of a carport has flipped in Avalon and a tree on the power lines. Yeah, unfortunately, that can happen there. Yeah, so, well, and I'm seeing reports that the rain stopped in downtown Waxahachie, but it's still windy. Hey, we've been talking about this cold front, unfortunately. The winds are going to be pretty strong behind this line, so 40 to 50 mile per hour winds possible with that. So, could be some very intense weather with that. Here's the latest radar update here. Again, if you hear that in the background, that's the computer telling me there's a new radar sweep, and that just kind of lets me know I need to check that. So we're going to check the velocity in the bird area here. Okay, cool. Saw the little bit of the tail there, but not seeing any kind of rotation. So that's what I wanted to check and make sure of. Again, with this line, hey, you never really know what you're dealing with. So I was checking because we saw this little bitty of a notch there, but nothing to really worry about there. I'm sure much of this severe thunderstorm warning will be trimmed back eventually. I'm sure they're still working on some of these tornado warnings to the east and northeast of our area. But if you're behind this line, hey, you're done. So Midlothian and Venus, Maypearl, Grandview here, Itasca's almost done there. If you're behind this line, you're done for the night. And all you're going to have to deal with is the very strong cold winds that will be blowing in behind the cold front. We're going to be in the low 50s tomorrow. That's the highest expected for tomorrow. Last I checked, at least. Low 50s. Good Lord. I mean, we're getting back to winter-like temperatures for at least a little while across our area. So we're gonna have a cold end to spring break tomorrow for sure across our area. Let me just get a message out here. Okay. All right. Just had to send a message out and ask a question here about what we're seeing. Try to get a quick report in. So a couple of things happening here. I am thinking that we're going to see more of a wind threat from this storm from Ennis, really from just east of Bardwell. Well, okay, new sweep here. So from Ennis onto the Bristol area, I think we're looking at possibly a more of a hail threat here and stronger winds. The cell moving into the Italy area looks to be losing some intensity. It looks to be kind of filing in behind this storm, and I think this is going to kind of take on most of that inflow that's moving in. So this will be more intense. Looks like it's pulling the energy away from this storm in the Italy area. So that should be kind of weakening here, falling apart a little bit. Northern Hill County, really things are calming down quite a bit there, and there's really nothing below that. So Northern Hill County, things are going to stay relatively docile from what I can tell. That will continue to move on to the east, and we'll be watching for some development here in Corsicana, that area, as this continues to move on to the east, could affect those areas there. But really from, yeah, right there's fine, thank you. Dinner's arrived, so let's get this stuff out of here, right?
Slide.
That's fine.
Slide it down there.
If anybody wants to, if you want to be on camera.
That's a hard pass.
Okay, hard. Well, we got the cat, but we didn't get the wife, so we got close. So it's moving out of the Ennis area now. We'll zoom in on that a little bit, and get this moving eastward. So east of Garrett is really done now, and let's see. It looks like this severe thunderstorm warning has, has expired there. They'll have to reissue that somehow. Okay, I'm watching some of the reports here. Oh yeah, so the cat's meowing at the door now. He saw dinner come in, so now he's very suddenly wants to come in. Of course, I will tell you guys that Tiger is he's like a roommate. I mean, that cat is he's part of the family, very much a almost human part of the family. So. Yeah, a new severe thunderstorm warning coming for the activity in eastern Ellis County. We'll go into the northern Navarro and Henderson. Those are right along the front. Main concern is wind, but could have some hail as well. That's from the National Weather Service. So they will be issuing a new warning for this part of the storm. This warning here is almost unwarranted at this point. That goes for about another 15 minutes here. So they will probably just allow that to expire. But we will see a new warning for this part of the storm. This is pretty intense here, moving into the Alma area. Alma, Bristol, we'll go ahead and zoom into that. That's almost what we've got left. So from Ensign, moving into Alma now, Creechville, Sand Lake, Allsdorf, up to Bristol area there. Pretty intense situation. Okay. Reading a report from a nearby area, so that doesn't apply here. So, okay, so hearing a tornado in Gun Barrel City area, that's, yeah. Okay, I'm hearing a lot of questions about tornadoes east of here, and that's outside of our area. I'll just briefly cover it, though. I can't spend a lot of time on it. I've got to stay to where the folks are following. There is the tornado warning that is in effect for this system from Gun Barrel City to Eustis, to Pickens and Athens. So if you're in that polygon, you want to make sure that you are taking shelter. But we got to stay in the South Metro area. That's the bargain I made with these folks. So we gotta focus on that. So the new severe thunderstorm warning is coming for this storm. We'll wait for that to come up on the screen here. Let me take a look. Okay, so that's gonna include again just northern portions of Navarro County here. So from Rice to Valley Farms to Roan and possibly over to Kearns here. For that severe thunderstorm warning that will come up on the screen shortly here. Let me go out of the way and we'll see that come on. It should be very shortly here. Hearing hail and Ennis more towards the Creechville area, sounds like east of the Buc-ee's there. So not very surprising there. Okay, I'm waiting for the new severe thunderstorm warning to come onto the screen. Should be right about here. Should stop. Should include just again the northern quarter of Navarro County here. And it's for this line that continues to be pretty intense. Probably some strong winds. Winds are the main concern. Okay, here we go. So a little further north than I expected, but including Rice, Valley Farms, just north of Kearns there, north of Roan. So just a northern sliver of Navarro County here. And behind all of that, all of this activity from Waxahachie down to Avalon, Blooming Grove, up to Bardwell, moving into Ennis there, moving over into Mertens there, out of Milford, just moved through Italy. No severe weather in this, I don't believe. Could be some small hail in the Bardwell area from this system, but this is kind of the back of the line and really not much going on with that. And this severe thunderstorm warning further to the west, this goes for about another 10 minutes. It's really not warranted here. There's really nothing to that right now. Just, something to kind of keep in mind as this whole thing moves east. That really should be done. And the warning that includes Red Oak and Ferris here, hey, that can probably, for the most part, be peeled back as well, as we're not looking at any kind of severe weather behind this line. So really, if you're behind this part of the storm, all of this stuff to the west doesn't look severe at this time. And then if you look farther out to the west, there's just nothing out here. This is kind of a false echo out there. Don't pay any attention to that. But this is all really it. This whole system that's moving through. And hey, we're done after that pushes through. Okay, I'm just going to check a few more things here. Okay. Okay, so yeah, hearing that there's hail in Ennis, so that could be this system here. That really could be either one of those. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some small hail in this activity back behind the front and everything, but the cold air has kind of overtaken this and has really weakened it. So that's probably what's happening there. Another look at velocity, plenty of strong winds, but still not seeing any kind of rotation here. So that's a good deal there. Okay, I'm hearing that severe thunderstorm warning expires for Ellis, Hill, and Johnson. So this warning right here has been allowed to expire. Let's go back to that reflectivity to get a better idea of what we're looking at. So this warning has expired. There's practically nothing going on. Looks like there's some rain south of Itasca, but really not much. And Brandon, you're exactly right. The cold front will eventually overtake that tornado warned storm over in Henderson County. So that will kind of change the situation there, but that'll take some time. This continues to be the most intense part of this, but if you're behind this line, the severe weather threat has really passed for you. Still moving into Rice, moving into Valley Farms now. We'll continue to move on to the east. And hey, once that happens and once it moves east, it's, things will calm down. There's some rain behind that, but we'll really see much more calm conditions as we go forward from there. Okay, so there goes that warning. So that warning is expired. This one here should really be peeled back. Really, the only a little bit of this warning is even valid at this point. So if you're in the Ferris area, Palmer, back to Waxahachie, those areas, you're done. Really, most of this is you're done with the severe weather. Only severe weather risk I see is far eastern Ellis County, far northern Navarro County at this point. Looks like it's really just moving into Navarro County, far northern Navarro County. Here's the county line there. That will continue to move on to the east, clipping Rice, really towards the Valley Farms area. Valley Farms has been already hit once. They're going to get hit again, unfortunately. That's just kind of an unfortunate part of all of this. Okay. Keeping myself hydrated here so I don't completely lose my voice and dry out here. Okay. All right. Just keeping up with sources of information. So this is pretty much it. And this is in far, you see Ennis here, Garrett, Palmer. This is far southeastern Ellis County, far northern Navarro County. A bit of this is going to be moving into Rice now. Heavier activity moving into the Valley Farms area. You can see that here. And possibly some strong winds in the M-House area as well. So all of this is all moving to the east. A lot of folks asking about Gun Barrel City. A lot of questions about Gun Barrel City. So it looks like the tornado threat has moved east of Gun Barrel City now. I don't think Gun Barrel is threatened by tornadoes at this point. Looks like it's moved out of there, right? So I think you're done for the most part, and then that should be moving out. But for our particular area now, that's for that storm. This line will still move into the Gun Barrel City area, but tornado issues or tornado threats not really a part of this system as it's moving across far northern parts of Navarro County here as this warning continues. This warning continues for about another 36 minutes, so quite a bit of time. But again, if you're behind the line, you're done. Just got to report that, yes, Helico is calming down now. This will move through northern parts of Navarro County. This activity back here looks like some heavier rain may be moving into frost now. This looks like this is all behind the front. So the front has kind of stabilized a lot of this. The rain remains, but it's not as intense. The severe weather threat is, not really concerning at this point. Okay, let's just continue. Let's just do another kind of wide shot. So there is this storm that's moved east of Gun Barrel City, moving towards Athens now. That's that tornado warned storm. Lots of questions about Gun Barrel City. It looks like Gun Barrel is cleared from the tornado risk. That should be east of there now. But this part of the line, this storm continues to move east. Severe thunderstorm here. No tornadoes in this part of the storm that's moving through far eastern portions of Ellis County, far northern portions of Navarro County. No real concern there. The tornado watch does continue until, continues until 8 o'clock. So will be done very soon. The tornado watch done very soon for Ellis, Johnson, and Hill counties. For Navarro County, Navarro is included in the tornado watch that continues until 1 a.m. So bear in mind that, while Navarro County is included in a watch that continues until 1 a.m., once this moves through, any kind of severe weather threat is gone. So, and I really at this point don't expect a tornado threat even now in Navarro County, unless we consider this tail here that could do something, but so far it has not. It looks like we're getting a little bit of a something there, so we'll take another look. Yeah, I'm still not seeing any kind of rotation here, so no circulation that I'm concerned about in Navarro County here. But the strongest part of this is north of Rice now, north of Rice again, headed towards the Valley Farms area. Valley Farms has already been hit once, and it's headed there again. But as it exits back in the Ennis area, you've got more rain coming. Ennis, Bardwell, that area, more rain moving in. Looks like the severe weather threat, though, has moved out. Okay, just kind of trying to keep up with different sources of information here. So the tornado watch. Okay, the tornado watch has expired for Ellis, Hill, and Johnson counties for our area. So Navarro County does continue to be in the watch, technically until 1 a.m. But I do believe that it will be canceled once the cold front moves through. So I don't expect the tornado watch to continue that much longer for Navarro County. So if we take a broader view here, let's just look across the state, and we can only see so much of this because, again, we're looking at local radar, and it's stretching. But you can see some activity in the Killeen area, pretty clear in Waco. We have our little area of severe weather, and then you move off to the north from Sulphur Springs up into the Arklatex. There's some activity there, but for the most part, we're kind of the epicenter, at least the areas mostly east of us now, are the epicenter for most of that activity. But really not much happening. And yes, I do see this little fish hook here. We'll continue to watch that. But for the moment, I don't see any kind of rotation along that there. And if you watch, you actually see that this is kind of the leading edge probably of the cold front. So it looks like the cold front continues to overtake this activity. You notice how quickly it's weakening. So I think the cold air has overtaken that, and it's about to overtake this too, and probably, hopefully, maybe weaken some of this. And then that will continue to move forward and eventually overtake that tornado warned storm as well. But yeah, I'm seeing the curvature here, but I'm still not seeing anything that has me immediately concerned about rotation. I'm not seeing the inflow component of this. That's kind of what we're missing. So no inflow that I'm seeing here, just outflow winds here along all of this, along this line, I should say. Get back to the traditional reflectivity here. So we still have this hail core that is moving eastward towards the Valley Farms area. That's really what is keeping this severe thunderstorm warning in place. And I'm hearing sound is muffled on and on. It's probably because I'm getting quiet. Voice is getting tired, so I'm getting lazy and lowering my my volume a little bit. Not projecting as much, so I apologize. Let me get some water here. Okay, that should help. I'm slowly but surely losing my voice here, so we'll see. I mean, we've been on air for almost 3 hours here. I don't know what the record is for me since I've started all this, but we'll have to check and see if maybe we hit a record tonight. Hail core continuing to move eastward, could reach as far south as Chatfield, as far north as Valley Farms. Looks like it could actually move in between there. It's headed towards 1129 here. You see 1129 here. Montfort down further to the southeast. So this will continue to move eastward, and we'll have to watch that as this continues to move on. And we're down to almost about 356 viewers here. So hey, folks are dropping off, but hey, if you're sticking around, you must be one of the real fans here. The tornado watch, the original tornado watch, has been allowed to expire. The new watch, and I'm reading from the National Weather Service here. The new watch across the east and southeast counties remains in effect until 1 a.m. Okay. Yeah, so that tornado watch does continue for the one that includes Corsicana and Navarro County does continue until 1 a.m. But once this moves out, that will probably be canceled, right? That will be knocked out, and I don't think we will see anything further from this. And I'm still watching this little notch here, but I still don't think we're looking at anything concerning there. We can take a peek at the velocity. Take a look at that there, and we'll continue to watch this, but I don't think that we are really too concerned about this. No tornado warnings for Blooming Grove. Not sure what you've heard there, but no tornado warnings anywhere in Navarro County. The only tornado warning is over in Henderson County, far to the east. So, not concerned about tornadoes in Navarro County right now. And I'm just going to continue to check. And you might hear my son in the background. He's if I'm hearing him at this point, he may have run out of food, and he may not necessarily be happy about that. So we'll have to see what ends up happening there. Let's see. Okay, I'm just trying to check a couple of sources here. Let's see. Okay, let's see. All right, nothing new from that storm. So yeah, good. We'll continue to keep an eye on that little fish hook there. The main issue right now continues to be the hail core up north in the Valley Farms area. So this little area moving north of Corsicana, let's just double check that one more time as we go forward. I'm still not seeing anything immediately concerning. I will say the National Weather Service is not talking about this, but as we are now... as we're watching this just to the north of Corsicana, we are seeing some increasing winds right here in this area. So we will continue to watch that. And again, the tornado watch is still in effect in this area. And this storm has not really had much of a tornado element to it. But as we watch this, I do want to keep an eye on this going forward. So really the two things to watch here are there's still the hail core between Roan and Valley Farms there. That continues to move on to the east. That's prompted the severe thunderstorm warning you see. And then just to the north of Corsicana, this may be worth watching in this area, as just on the northeast side of Corsicana here, we do see increasing wind speeds, and we have seen that curvature in the radar. So that may be... worth watching. Okay, yeah, seeing that operation Office of Emergency Management in Navarro County, watching a small area of rotation on the northeast side of Corsicana. So yeah, we're watching that as well, and so we'll keep an eye on this. At this time, this doesn't look too intense. At this point, it doesn't look like we have a really noticeable couplet. but it is worth watching as we go forward. So we'll keep an eye on that as that continues to move on to the east. As we get back to just the regular reflectivity, we do have more of a hook developing here now. So again, the hail threat between Valley Farms and Roan there, just south of Valley Farms, continues to move on to the east. But now we kind of have this new feature, and this storm has kind of developed this little bit of what am I trying to say? We've had this hook, this tail here for a while, but it hadn't really done much. Well, now we're starting to see, and I will say this is moving into air that hasn't really been we haven't really seen this worked over much. So there's still some instability, still warm, moist, unstable air for this to work with. So it makes sense that we might start to see this intensify a little bit. So we'll keep an eye on this. Let's see, we're okay, I'm just going back in some of the comments here that we're seeing, some of the reports, mostly just, heavy rain, that kind of thing. So the National Weather Service has now issued a severe thunderstorm warning for this part of the storm. They have added a tornado possible tag, okay? And I mentioned earlier, this is something new that they're doing. So as we continue to watch this, there is a severe thunderstorm warning for this part of the storm, and they have tagged that tornado is possible in this part of the storm. Now, there's not a tornado warning, but they are noting that this could become tornado capable pretty soon. So we're going to keep an eye on this. The two parts of this storm that we need to be paying attention to, again, is the hail core just south of Valley Farms. That's one area of concern there. That will continue to move on to the east, and that'll eventually make its way into Henderson County. And then this area of rotation that looks to be trying to develop, and that's going to track north of Corsicana, but it looks like it could move. Here's that new warning. Looks like that could eventually be riding along 31 here from Powell over to Kearns over to Trinidad. So we'll keep an eye on this area of possible circulation there. And I think this is a good spot to keep the radar. We can see the possible rotation. We can see that hail core, there as well. Let's go back to the velocity view here, and still seeing an attempt at a couplet here. Definitely seeing some stronger winds on some of that outflow, but the inflow doesn't look too impressive at this moment. We are, however, getting further away from the radar. So if we're looking higher up, it may not necessarily be as easy to see the inflow there. Now, we're seeing some kind of inflow trying to develop there, so that could, it looks like we're seeing a little bit more of a couplet formed there just to the east of Powell. So we will keep an eye on that. Let's go back to the reflectivity and see what that latest sweep tells us. But we're still seeing that trying to wrap up here. And this may be one of those rotations that just lasts for a very short time. It may not necessarily do a whole lot. May not last very long. We've had a few of those tonight. We had one of those really in the Maypearl area earlier this evening. It seemed to get pretty decent and then just kind of fell apart. So we may very well see that in this case as well, but we will keep an eye on this going forward because it is worth watching. And I know that Navarro County Emergency Management and the Corsicana Radar organization down there are monitoring this as well. So plenty of eyes are watching this to make sure that if something does develop there, that everyone is informed as possible. So folks in Navarro County, eastern Navarro County in this case, very well covered, very well informed, and that's a great thing. And okay, so we're still kind of holding on to this curvature here, and when we see this you see this red that seems to be kind of detached here. Sometimes that's going to be your focus area of rotation here. It could be a sign that you're starting to get this more focused circulation. So we'll keep an eye on that over the next few minutes and see if maybe we can get an update on the velocity view as well. So we have been watching this kind of more focused rotation here. So definitely looking a little bit more of a focused couplet there. No new warnings for this part of the storm, although, again, severe thunderstorm warning issued with a tornado possible tag. Again, that means that this could become tornado capable very soon. It's not considered tornado capable at this moment. So it's trending that direction. It's got some potential, but it's not quite there yet. So it's not quite ready for a warning. Seeing increasing wind speeds here, so again, could be looking at a tightening couplet as a part of this. And so we'll continue to keep an eye on this. I don't think that Powell is quite out of the woods yet. If you're in the Powell area, I would go ahead and take shelter at this point, not because there's a confirmed tornado or confirmed rotation or anything of that sort, but there's enough signs that, again, we have precedent tonight, of seeing these quick rotations, these circulations that develop pretty fast. And so if this thing does tighten up all of a sudden, it could be hard to give a lot of advance notice over that. So keep in mind there is something to be noted here as we continue to watch this probably move across 31 here. I think this is going to move across 31, probably track a little bit south of Kearns. Asking about Italy. Italy should be done, except for possibly some rain in that area. We got to keep our focus in eastern Navarro County here on this possible circulation, but Italy is done with the severe weather for tonight. That's why we're focused here in the eastern Navarro County area from Powell over to Kearns, watching this area of possible rotation. Okay, watching the updates here. But as we get back to the regular reflectivity, we're not done with the hail in far northern Navarro County at this point. Still looking at a hail core southeast now of Valley Farms, north of Roan. There could be some small hail in the Roan area, but that's going to continue to track to the east. That's headed now towards Henderson County. That'll cross over the river here, get into Henderson County, and then our focus will, of course, remain on this attempted area rotation. It looks slightly less organized than it did a few moments ago. So we'll continue to watch this, but my guess is that this is probably on the downslope now. You know, we've had plenty of these circulations that have tried to spin up, didn't really do much. So we'll kind of keep an eye on this as we go forward, so you can get an update here. And still seeing at least what looks like, I would think this is a little bit more broad rotation. So what you want to see is you have the green and you have the yellow. What'll happen is that those will get closer together. So you'll see these actually kind of start to get closer together. The two ends of this is hard to do. This is green screen. So they get closer together and you see the brighter colors meet in the center. That's where they tighten in, right? Asking about Canton, unfortunately, we got to stay focused on the area that is South Metro weather. Canton's a little farther out from that, but this is part of that area, so we got to keep focused here. But the Powell area, that's where we're looking at right now. What looks like more broad rotation doesn't look like this is tightened up at all, but that could happen quickly. So we will continue to watch this. If you're not familiar with this view, this is the velocity view. So we have outbound winds here, inbound winds here, and this is kind of how you see your rotation. Different directional winds, and that's kind of how you have your rotation. So we're watching this and the increasing wind speeds. Again, we're further away from the radar here, so we're looking higher up. It's harder to tell closer to the ground exactly what is happening there, but we could very well be looking at some rotation trying to develop in the Powell area right there on 31, north of Elm Flat there. And looks to be headed probably towards the Goodloe area. Now, if you're in the Elm Flat area, I would go ahead and prepare to take shelter. It's probably in that area now. These radar scans sometimes can be a little bit delayed, but I would say it's probably moving towards the Elm Flat area, probably mostly north of there, but Elm Flat could still be in this area of rotation. And then as you get towards the Kearns and Goodloe area, eventually later on, it's probably going to ride just south of 31 here. So those are the areas that should remain focused. And, okay, so yeah, nothing new as far as warnings here. Nothing immediately screaming the tornado concern here, but it does need to be monitored. And we will continue to do that. So, again, still seeing this little bit of a hook here. Still seeing that hail threat. Now headed towards Bazette there. So just moved out of Montfort, now headed towards the Bazette area. So hail likely in that part of the storm. Could be some gustier winds as well. And again, still watching this area of possible rotation trying to develop as we look at the this part of the storm now moving into the Elm Flat area, moving towards Kearns and Goodloe. See if we can get a update here, possibly on the velocity. That would be great. Okay, yeah, so we've got an update here, and I'm not seeing itchy nose here, but we're definitely not seeing the kind of organization we saw just a moment ago. So I think my hypothesis there was correct, that we're seeing this beginning to cycle down now. It was just a quick cycle through rotation. I do think that's falling apart now. It seems like it might have kind of curled in on itself, and what happens is it generally cuts itself off from inflow, and then you lose that rotation. So I'm not seeing the bright colors that we saw just a moment ago, so that may be falling apart there. I think that's likely what's happening. And I think in the next update, we'll probably see this hook kind of folding in and not as organized as it was. We'll just have to wait and see what that latest, what that next update shows. And you can see how kind of, it's almost a V shape. It's not really curved. That's where it kind of starts to, again, fold into itself, and you lose some of that organization along that area of rotation. So that looks like that is falling apart. That's good news for the Elm Flat, Kearns, Goodloe area there. Overall, Elm Flat, rather, I keep putting an S there. But the hail threat does continue, again, from the Bezette area on up towards Harmony there in Henderson County, but this will continue to move on to the east. Okay, looking at storm rotate. Okay, so just storm damage reports coming from other places, Irving area in the chat now. So just making sure that doesn't pertain to us. So we'll watch and see what happens with the latest update on this as this continues to move on to the east. This hail threat beginning to move out of Navarro County now. Yeah, it looks like this kind of folded in on itself. Not really concerned about that at this point. And we'll continue to see this move on to the east. But at this point, looks like we've kind of done away with that tornado threat, that rotation threat here. The rotation seems to have kind of fallen apart there. Good news for eastern Navarro County here. So this is headed through Elm Flat now. Okay, now we're hearing from Office of Emergency Management in Navarro County reporting extensive tree damage, camper overturned, homes damage, and injuries just north of Corsicana. So I'll try to get the details on that, get that information to you later tonight and tomorrow as we go forward. So it's pretty extensive there, and that's on the north side of Corsicana there. So we'll see what information we can extrapolate from that. But as this continues, we'll have to wait and see what that's reporting. I don't know that that would be necessarily from this. But as this continues to move eastward here, the Kearns area, Goodloe area, could still see some winds, stronger winds there. The hail threat really confined north of Bezette overall. And if there's anyone in the comment section that has any information on what occurred in northern Corsicana, again, emergency management reporting tree damage and injuries, apparently, homes damage and injuries there in northern parts of Corsicana, just north of Corsicana, rather. So that may be those strong winds that blew through there. Okay, now, of course, this is quickly moving out of Powell, quickly going to start calming down soon, and Elm Flat moving into the Kearns area. But this hail core remains very persistent in the Bezette area, going to be moving east pretty quickly out of Navarro County there into Henderson County. So strong winds moving into the Kearns area, not seeing any rotation here, nothing organized for sure, but still seeing some stronger winds that will be moving along 31 there. Again, moving into Kearns, north of Goodloe, taking 31 on over into Henderson County. And we'll get a broader view of just kind of what we're looking at across the area. So north of Corsicana, we did have this line move through, and we did have those winds. So it looks like if there was any kind of whatever damage and injuries were sustained in the Corsicana area, probably from the lower part of that line. So we'll have to wait and see what the National Weather Service might report there. Probably damaging winds. I'm not sure if there might have been a brief spin-up tornado in that area. We'll just have to wait and see what the reports actually say there. But damaging winds were definitely a threat, and hail as well for that area. So, and that was around 8 p.m. So yeah, that was as that storm was further back to the west, north of Big Talk. This guy never saw a storm. Okay, I've seen plenty, but all right, seems like that's a bot or something. Just a account called Big Talk. It looks like a bot or something like that. But this moving over into the Currens area, hail possible there. Then this other part of the line here that's moving out of the Hubbard area, moving towards Salina, over toward El Dorado Center, out of Dawson, moving into Oak Valley there. Heavy rain here, could be some small hail. That's about all I'm seeing from that part. And this is the cold front. So as this moves through, once this is out of your area, you're done for the night. And there could be a little bit of rain. It looks like there's some rain trying to kind of linger there in the Ennis area. But if the cold front moves through, you're done for the night with the severe weather. Gusty north winds will move in behind that. I'm looking out here and I can still see some pretty big movement out of these trees. So plenty of wind blowing in the in the wake of this cold front moving through. And that will be the cold air that's blowing in. It'll have us in the 50s tomorrow. So we were in the 70s today, 50s tomorrow. And again, nothing behind all this. We're done after this move through. So you can see the activity here. Here's the system that we have been watching here. And again, here's another update. And you can see just the ever so slightest little curvature there. We'll put back the... We'll put this back in Currens good load, that area, not seeing any kind of rotation. Yeah, so mostly just a hail threat out of this now. Damaging winds possible, mostly a hail threat there. But again, that is moving pretty quickly off to the east and down again to the east of Dawson there. El Dorado Center, Purdon over to Pursley there. Mostly heavy rain, could be some small hail out of this, but that's really all that we're going to see out of that. Emergency management saying that they are headed out to investigate those reports of injuries. So if I get any more information about that, we'll definitely get that information to you and report that. Or if you can report that to us, that we'll definitely catalog that information as well. I don't know who Big Talk is, but they want to have a conversation, and we'll just let that go. This hail core is very persistent. Now moving on, really the north side of 31, so northern parts of Currens there, up east of Bezette, now up towards, you can see the county line here, the river there. This hail core continuing to persist. That's heading over to really towards the Trinidad area. So over in Henderson County, Trinidad, Star Harbor there, Log Cabin. Those areas will want to be on alert for the hail core as it moves through. And we'll just take one more look at the velocity here. And down south of El Dorado Center, looks like there might be some inflow trying to interact here. Very weak, very broad rotation possible here. I don't see anything that has me too terribly concerned here. As this continues to move on to the East Texas, there's a lot more humidity out there for this to work with and could be more severe weather as that continues to move on to the east. But for our area, I don't see really much happening here. That's moving down out of the South Metro weather area, so not too much to be concerned about there. And really, this, asking about Waxahachie. Waxahachie is in the clear. Yeah, so Waxahachie is, done with everything for tonight. Just a cold wind for those areas going forward. This is really all we have left. It's just Navarro County for the South Metro area. So just north of Kearns, the hail core is there. I don't know why my nose is so itchy here. I apologize. Face itch situation going on. I'm not sure. Tiny hail in Kearns. So we're hearing reports of pea-sized hail in the Kearns area. Could be some pea-sized hail along with this system here, this storm, right around 709. Not really expecting much out of that as well. We'll put this into motion so you can kind of see this is moving through and it's kind of doing its thing as it does. We did have that little area of rotation, that little curvature there, right around the Powell area. But the good news is that is moving out. So that rotation did not really produce anything. We have had reports of possible injuries north of Corsicana. We'll wait to hear what we find out there. It sounds more like straight line wind damage. Possibly that's a very preliminary, very big guess. But just what was described there sounded more like straight line winds. But we'll find out more as we go forward. But the hail core, possibly some hail in the Goodloe area east of Kearns. Kearns will be calming down pretty soon, but the hail core headed over to Henderson County very soon. This severe thunderstorm warning, most of that can probably be canceled at this point. The only tornado watch left in the South Metro area is for Navarro County. That goes until 1 a.m. However, once this line moves through, you're done. I do expect the National Weather Service to kind of peel that watch back, and you'll be able to make those adjustments from there. So I think that we are about wrapped up here. We'll just kind of keep an eye on everything moving through Navarro County here over the next few minutes. The lower part of this line, I believe the cold front has overtaken that. So this should be in the cold air, which is probably what's keeping that more docile and not very intense. So the cold front's probably, I would guess it's probably slicing through right here where you see this kind of space of not much going on there. And then I think the rest of this line's probably behind the cold front. That's what's keeping it relatively calm at this point. This severe thunderstorm warning, let's take a look at that. That goes on for about another 3 minutes. So this will end very soon. And okay, so yeah, I think this is they've just issued another severe thunderstorm warning, probably for far eastern Navarro County, and then going into Anderson, Freestone, and Henderson counties. So this will be for this section of the storm that's moving through. We'll see when that pops up on the screen here. I'm going to take a quick look at this. Yeah, so this will include Kearns, but this will just include just a small part of Navarro County, just the far eastern portion, of Navarro County included in that. Okay, so yeah, the storm in Navarro County east of Kearns, winds of 65 miles per hour, and hail over and possible. Here comes that new warning. So this warning is going to disappear here very shortly. And then this part of the warning just barely covering just the western corner of, eastern corner. I've been messing that up all night for some reason. Eastern corner of Navarro County. So that's moving out very soon. This warning going until 9:30, but it won't be in Navarro County that long. And then the rest of this line, it'll be some heavy rain, could be some small hail in there, but this part of the line is not severe at this time. So all of this has moved east of Navarro County. So Samaria and Goodnight, those communities, look like you do have some hail moving your direction. The tornado threat looks to have finished up with this. They've put a tornado possible key on there, but I mean, we'll take another look at the velocity view here. And there is possibly some, maybe some broad rotation attempting there. You can see some of the mixed colors, but I really don't think there's really a whole lot to that. Not expecting much out of that. So I'm sure they're just being cautious there, but for the most part, this is all that's left of the severe weather. That will continue to move off to the east. Okay, we're Okay. Yeah, so getting just getting a couple of people in the comments there, so just wanted to make sure I was following that. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. Just keep in mind that, again, hail course possible just in far eastern Navarro County here. As that continues to move off to the east, we're going to wrap up our coverage here. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll continue to monitor this as this exits Navarro County, but for now, looks like the South Metro area, the severe weather threat has ended, and get ready. Tomorrow morning, going to feel much cooler than it has over the last